World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's just so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Good evening, everyone. Mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. Welcome to another epic event here at World Pro Racing. My name is Chris Buxton. I'll be one of your commentators throughout tonight's amazing races. Joining me in the commentary box, I'm very happy to say, the amazing Kai Bacchini.
Thank you for this outstanding intro. I don't think I really deserve it, but I will take it on board and hopefully put it into some amazing commentary for you guys. I'm really looking forward to this race.
You are far too modest, young man. Right, before we get underway, we must give a big shout out to our sponsors here at World Pro Racing: Gaming Malta, AMD, HyperX, GT Omega, Thrustmaster, and being broadcast as well. Our broadcasting partners: ESTV, Motorsport TV, THM Sport. We thank you very much for your continued support. Right, tonight's events: 2 amazing races in some amazing Italian machinery. The Lamborghini and the Ferrari GT3 cars are going to be the stallions of choice for our drivers on 2 incredible Italian circuits, Imola and Monza. We start at the latter. Now, our drivers must use both cars. They can't just stick with one for both races, so it's going to be important to them to get the right stallion for the right track. Which one is going to be more suited to either? That's going to be down to how the chariots, how the stallions ride, more than the actual cars themselves. No huge advantage or disadvantage between either one, but we are more likely to see one mark dominate the race in each race. Which one, in which way round, we will see. It's up to the drivers and which way they do it. Right. What do we know about Monza, where we're starting at? Young Kai, take it away.
Well, Monza, as everyone knows, this is the Temple of Speed. There's a lot of history behind this circuit. It's 3.6 kilometers long with 11 corners and many different complexes. It was built in 1922, and it also has a previous oval layout, which if you look at a track map, you can actually see in a very grey outline.
Indeed, the Monza banking still being there, although a little bit overgrown. Obviously, it's not what our drivers are going to be taming their mighty beasts on tonight. So 11 corners are going to be greeting our drivers when we get down to track. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm really looking forward to how well the drivers adapt to the 2 cars. Yes, they're both in GT3 class, but there are subtle differences that will suit some drivers better than others between the Ferrari and the Lamborghini. So one is a V8, one's a V10, one's mid-engine, etc., etc. So these little differences may sound cosmetic on the outside, but do make a difference to how the car handles and behaves. So everyone's driving style is going to be that little bit different. So it's going to be interesting to see how well our drivers adapt to the different stallions.
We see there's actually quite a split between the cars, but it looks like the majority have went for the Ferrari around Monza, and I'm guessing that is because of the extra rotation. Monza, there's actually quite a few technical sections, and you need quite a bit of torque on the bottom end, quite a bit of horsepower in that car, so hopefully the Ferrari is able to deliver that.
I'm actually surprised that looks almost an even split between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari. I was expecting one mark to dominate one particular circuit, but no, it's quite interesting to see that it's very evenly split, but it is a little bit Lamborghini heavy at the top. But don't read too much into that just yet. This is purely a practice session, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if our drivers are sandbagging a little bit at this point.
Yeah, I've just checked the specs of the cars and I've realised why many of the drivers have went for the Ferrari GT3 Evo, and that's because of the amazing top speed. It's got a top speed of 281 kilometers an hour, and I think that definitely tops the Lamborghini down the straight, especially with the long home straight and the runs between the corners. That's definitely going to give them an advantage.
Too true, too true. So as you can see at the top of the screen, we are in the free practice session, of which Luke Whitehead has currently got the top time of 1:47.484. We're looking at Jan-Nicolas Erbrich in the 299 car, just coming around the parabolic, and now that's the view from the driver's eye perspective. And he's going to pull into the pits on that particular lap. It's a shame. I was looking forward to having a hot lap with Jan, but not to be. Hamada Erkizi, again, apologies if I'm not getting these names quite right, representing H3 Racing in the 717 car. 7/10 to find in this session, but he's on lead. Ferrari, oh, that's a tad wide in the Les, making a bit of dust. That's not the ideal way of doing it, but you can ride the AstroTurf in the GT3 cars. They're not quite as sensitive as some other cars, but if you start kicking up the dust, you will start losing time. But even still, Hamada is done a good job there. Just 7/10 off the pace at the moment, but like I say, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we really start to see some amazing times come qualifying.
Yeah, you can definitely use the AstroTurf and all of the curbs that you want in these GT3 cars, as they have immense suspension, and also they have inbuilt traction control, so drivers don't need to worry as much as sliding the car under application of throttle or rotating it doing so. So that takes a little bit of pressure off the driver's shoulders, which means they can push even harder and get those quicker lap times on the board. As you said, Luke Whitehead currently fastest with a 1:47.484. Akwizi, he does cross the line, but does he improve? No, he's still 7/10 off the leader. I guess we'll have to see what he's able to do in qualifying.
Yeah, it's going to be down to getting that optimum lap at the right time, which sounds a little bit obvious, but when you've got a track such as Monza, the slipstream effect, it's going to be very, very important. You're on the gas for a lot of the lap, so if you can get the slipstream behind somebody else, that is only going to be a benefit to you. So we ride on board still with Hamada Akizi through Curva Grande, just let the car wander over to the left-hand side, and then back over to the right. Heavy on the brakes for the Della Loggia chicane. Doesn't ride the curbs too hard. Now, you've got quite major sausage curbs in the middle of those chicanes, so you don't want to cut the apexes too hard. Now into the Lesmos. The first one, keep the car nice and balanced, just touches the apex on the inside. Very nicely done. Uses all the AstroTurf on the outside. Kisses the grass on the outside before chucking it in, but that's a little bit too hard, and that is off into the dust, and that's another hot lap that's been brewing for us. But, as we jump on board with the third place Lamborghini of Carly Atkins, representing the PC Boys Esports squad, car number 41, just crossing the line, starting another hot lap. 3.5 minutes to go, so got time for another couple of laps. Wow, that's a bright livery. You'll notice that one coming, the blue and orange accented. Into the first chicane, the Retifidio, down through the gears, keeping nice and steady. Now, you saw how the car was kind of jostling around a little bit. Now, the ABS, if they're choosing to use it, will help to keep the car steady, but it does chuck the car around a little bit, so they need to be ready to catch that. Again, all the way through Curva Grande. He's going to let that... Is he going to stay over to the right-hand side? Is he going to let it wander? Yep, let that one wander as you leave the long right-hander, then about 150 metres, slam on the anchors again, down to second for the Della Loggia. Almost a little bit wide on the exit of the chicane. And then up to the Lesmos once again, into third. Just let the car hug that inside line. And the second Lesmos a little bit banked. And then he just hits that apex. It can unsettle the car a little bit, but does keep it nice and steady. Now, on the straight that's not quite straight, heading down towards the Ascari chicane. I can't tell you that is directly ahead. I think that is the 27 car, I believe, but into Ascari now. Now, you saw he had to do a little bit of a correction. He caught that in, that first apex a little bit hard. Whoops, that's someone that's had an argument with the wall. Now, that was the number 52. That was Gooch, the 15th place Ferrari. Has not done too well on the exit of Ascari. Now into Parabolica. Again, you can just see the car just getting a little bit unsettled under braking, which is pretty normal when you hit the brakes very, very hard in these GT3 cars. All the way through Parabolica, down to the line. Is that an improvement for Carly Atkins? No, he was about 2/10 off his previous best, but keeping nice and consistent. There is our current, I'd say, pole man. He's at the top of the tree at the moment with that 47.484. Does he improve? Nope, not this time around. But continuing to keep the pressure on. I mean, even though this doesn't decide the grid, it's good to get a little bit of the mind games going on. If you can show your pace and rattle your opponents a little bit, it all helps when it comes to lights out.
Yeah, Luke Whitehead, we've seen him in many events here before. He's a very strong driver, and he's able to perform under pressure when he needs to, as we saw another car off in the grass. So just not getting the right tunes for the car, not feeling the car very right at the moment. But Luke Whitehead getting it all right at the moment, currently at the top of the tables, as that's another car round. So quite a few of the drivers not hooking it together right now, and they're going to have to very shortly get that sorted before qualifying. But Luke Whitehead at the top of the tables by 4 temps. And I think you were mentioning the cars squirming under brakes a little bit. A lot of the drivers are taking into attention when applying the ABS is that the more ABS you use, it means the less brake force that you're actually able to apply to the car.
Indeed, as the electronics just keep the wheels rotating, but as far as overall braking force is concerned, may not necessarily be the most effective way of doing it, but generally you don't want to be seeing headlights when you come around a corner, certainly like the Lesmos, as we see Carly Atkins go up to second position. Then he found a good couple of tenths on that last lap, to be just 3 tenths off the overall pace with that 47.7 as he parks up. And that is the end of the practice session. We'll be heading to qualifying as soon as we can. Well, what a great way to start the evening off. Like I say, it's 2 races. We'll be heading over to Imola when Monza is all done and dusted. What are your thoughts towards Monza, Mr. Bugini?
Well, I mean, Monza, it's a very tricky track. You can get it wrong very easily, and there's lots of places to lose a car. Chicanes pretty much all the way around the track. But Luke Whitehead, dominant in practice. Will he be able to convert it into a qualifying pole, though? That's the question.
That is the golden question. We don't know what true pace these drivers have until they deploy it when it all counts, which will be the qualifying session coming up. Now, Kai, you're an experienced racer. There's something I've often mentioned, particularly in between sessions or practice to qualifying or practice at least to something, is the mind games. Do you find that you find yourself comparing your pace to others and thinking, he's going to be one to watch, or is the mind, the mental game as I describe it?
Well, I think that quite a few drivers, especially me, if you see someone in pole position by half a second nearly, you just kind of think, what am I getting wrong? What are they getting over me? What's making them faster than me? And I think that can really take a toll on the driver's mindset, and I think that can hinder them in a race and knowing that fact.
Yeah, it can lead you to overthink what you're doing and really break up your rhythm. So yeah, absolutely. I've fallen found with a few times I've done sim racing in league form. You end up just looking at your opponents thinking, what the hell can I do, rather than concentrating on what you are actually doing. So I fully agree with that. And yeah, looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting race. Monza. Talking about the race, this is qualifying first. We still got 9 minutes qualifying left. We see quite a few drivers making their way out onto the track, and we know that the Ashtoire team are very quick, but will they be able to do what they did in one of the triple headers that we had not so long ago and get a top 3 all filled with Ashtoire drivers? Luke Whitehead dominated in that series. Will he be able to do it again?
Well, he's already proven to have the pace. Let's see if he can convert it when it matters. Look how that's again a sign of a professional. Just the way they make it look so easy. Even though the Monza is a track that doesn't necessarily have a huge amount of corners, you summed it up perfectly, Kai. There's a lot of challenge in getting those corners just right, keeping the car exactly where you need it. Because there's nowhere that you can make up any significant amount of time if you do get it wrong. You make a mistake and it is going to hurt because you lose so much pace for such a long period of time.
Yeah, I think one of the trickiest corners that I find definitely is the first chicane and the Lesmos. It's very easy to try and carry too much speed and just overshoot the corner, which we very nearly see Luke Whitehead do. But he does come across traffic on his lap, which is definitely going to hinder him. That's not going to be a great lap here, but I'm guessing he's going to persevere on as we see him making his way down into Del Rogia. He just goes down the short straight, also known as Curve Grande. as he makes his way down into the breaking point. Where's he going to break? He's making around the 50-meter board, so breaking very late, using all the curb available to him in the second part, trying not to use any of the sausage curb though, as that will just chuck the car across the track and into no man's land, which you do not want to be, as he makes his way through the first Lesmo, using all the track available to him, maybe a little bit too much on the exit, as he makes his way through the second part. Curb on the inside, curb on the outside, and a little bit of crash. You see the car bumping up and down across the grass. That's not really where you want to be, but as he said, in these cars you can use a lot of the track and adventure the limits, so maybe he didn't actually lose that much time overall.
We will see when he hits that timing beep. I think that was Kesey that Luke caught in the middle of the Retrovideo chicane. I think it was the 717 Ferrari, which is unlucky more than anything else. Two of the H3 guys getting up very close to each other. But down to Parabolica we come. Now, trying to identify, there's been someone that's following Luke very, very closely throughout most of that lap. I think they've actually backed off as they've come into Parabolica themselves. Let's see what lap time is on the board. I think that's it was definitely compromised. Yeah, 48.1, which is still a very, very impressive time. We were seeing 47.4s from Luke in practice, so he definitely lost a few tenths when it came to that first chicane. Well, there is Kesey indeed setting a 147.5 as they've come over the line. So Kesey didn't lose much time in that exchange. There's one of our Ferraris, Coleman Corkery, in the number 9 for Team Aya. The Irishman showing what he is capable of. He's coming down to a Ascari. Now, as you can see from the track map, getting a huge amount of available track is actually fairly challenging. You've got lots of clumps of cars together. Oh, you saw he caught that apex a little bit harder than his car liked. He had to start turning right to a left-hander to keep the car settled, but that would have cost him time. And again, he's carried that mistake quite a long way. He's still got time to do something about it, but we are already facing halfway in the qualifying session. They don't have all that many laps to try and get their best time out there. And again, coming back to the mind game, when you know you've made that mistake, it can be very difficult to regain your focus and not make that same mistake again.
Yeah, so Coleman Corkery, he crossed the line in P9 though, but he's nearly 2 seconds off the leader. So as you said, he made that mistake. He knows where he can gain a bit of time, but he also needs to think where else he can gain time, as we have a little look at Jan Nicholas Urbrich making his way through Ascari now. A very defiant livery, black, blue and pink, a mix-up of colours, but it does look stunning on track as he chases down the back of a pearl white car, going down into the final corner of Parabolica now, turn 11. So this track doesn't have many corners, but it's definitely some technical corners, which it does hold, as he now goes down the start-finish line. The number 299 will cross the line for the second time, but will he be able to improve? He was 7 tenths off, and now he is only 3 tenths off, so a great improvement from Jan Nicholas Urbrich, but will he be able to bring down that gap even more?
Well, if he keeps utilising the slipstream of the car ahead of him, then absolutely he can. As we switch to Hamada Akisi. So it's actually a Ferrari that leads the way. Now, it was a Lamborghini-dominated top section, which, well, it still broadly is, 2nd to 8th, all in the Bull Stallion, as opposed to in the Bull stable, I should say, instead of the Stallion stable. But Hamada Akisi showing the Ferrari has got what it takes to set a very competitive lap times. Look right behind, that is Urbrich is having an argument with the car he was slipstreaming behind. So that may not help him, but Hamada Akisi continuing on his merry way, just 0.07 of a second ahead of fellow H3 driver Luke Whitehead. So very, very close up front, but the times do spread out quite a bit, and Hamada has pulled over. Is he just going to let the two behind him go? There is Luke Whitehead, so our practice time dominator. So he led the way by a good 4 tenths, but if he set the same time again, he would be in the pole spot, but only by, less than a tenth of a second from Hamada Akisi, who has returned back to the pits. Is this another hot lap from Whitehead? He's been out there for several laps back-to-back as he comes into Parabolica. Just 0.07 of a second to find. Will he do it this time around? Less than 3 minutes to go qualifying now. It is very much getting into the Banzai phase, as I call it, the do or die, feast or famine, and that's the pole time by 0.03 of a second. He hasn't done it again. A 47.4 for Luke Whitehead. Stunning time.
it's so close between the top of the table. 300ths separating these drivers. Akizi, he just needs to find a smidgen of time and he will be on pole. But as you know, if you think that you've done a perfect lap, then it's very hard to find that time. But Akizi, he's going to have to push this Ferrari to the limits now.
Ben Norton improved in time but not position. He found 2/10 that time around. 148, 162. Secures his 4th position at the moment. A little bit further down the field, the Portuguese driver Jorge El Fresco is chasing. Well, that's a very, again, a very brightly coloured Lamborghini who's gotten awfully quickly coming out of the second Lesmo. And this isn't going to help Jorge at all. A lot of traffic around him, but he has managed to negotiate the black and bronze as well as the white and lime coloured Lambos. Coming down towards Ascari himself. Now, I imagine this lap is probably a bust. He has got time for one more, but that does add an extra layer of pressure. Not everybody revels in the do or die, feast or famine kind of pressure that the last flying lap can give. Some people do. I envy them. I definitely don't. I'm one that feels the pressure quite keenly. So I don't like being under pressure. In that final banzai lap, I'd like to have had my best lap done by now. That's even still, the general spread of times has come down. 3 seconds separates 22 drivers. Which 3 seconds may sound a lot, but in these GT3 cars, it's not as big as you might think. As we jump to Jan-Nicolas Albrecht in 3rd position, 3/10 behind the pole time, less than a minute to go. Can the 299 DJ Racing Lamborghini climb those extra couple of steps? We will see. Is he coming out of Parabolica? Now, he has got time for one more lap should he need to do so. Straight lines towards the line. And it's an improvement in time again, but not position. It's now just 1.5 tenths between Jan and the top spot.
Yeah, this is getting very tight, and I think these drivers will be pushing till the last seconds of the race, till the counter is down and the session is done. As we know, Track Evolution, it has a massive toll on drivers' lap times, and that's a massive jump from Jeff. He makes his way all the way back up to 12, 1.6 seconds off the leader now, but it's a massive improvement. As we watch Albrecht now down in P24, not having the best day today. The session is over now, but Albrecht, he will get one more lap as we go back on board with Tomasi as he makes his way around Parabolica now to finish his final lap of the session. Will it be enough to jump him up to the top of the timing boards? I guess we will just have to wait and see. The Ferrari dashes down to the finish line, takes a tighter line to the line, and it is not an improvement, and it is not an improvement in position either as we go on board with Fetch as he crosses the line now. What's he going to be able to do? He's going to jump up to 6th. So a good improvement from the Lamborghini there.
Great improvement there from Samir Foch as we now jump to Chris Gooch, who's got a face full of brawn-flavoured Lamborghini there. Oh, he's gone for the move. That's only going to compromise both of their laps, really. He may well feel a bit aggrieved by that. He's a second off the pace at the moment. But I'd be very surprised if he improves, having to make that correction in his line. There's Tom Ossie in the 486 Ferrari, heading towards the line, currently in 18th position. Well, the 48.7, and that's beg your pardon, the 48.7 has actually jumped him up to 11th. So a good improvement there for the number 488. Now down to Kirsten Beja, the GT Omega RPM Esports squad, car number 20. Oh, again, the car getting a little bit unsettled coming out of Ascari, but keeps it on the straight and narrow nonetheless. 2.6 seconds off the top spot at the moment. No one to slipstream off of, so he'll do well to improve, but won't necessarily be challenging the top of the tables. Around Parabolica now. What can he do from there? Let us see. It's the 86 car ahead of him, which is that's Emil Brecht that's just jumped up to 21st. Wow, that's started to form the pecking order. Luke Whitehead once again towards the top, but he was a Ferrari that topped the tables in for a number of laps in that session. But the times are so close that really could go anywhere.
Yeah, Luke Whitehead, he was 4 attempts quicker than anyone else in practice, but they managed to pull that all the way down to 300ths of a second, which is so close between the drivers. And Luke Whitehead, he thought he was in the clear, but now surely he has so much pressure on his shoulders from behind.
Well, indeed. So it's all going to come down to, a big part of that is the start. It's all going to be down to how they deal with the Rettifiglio on the opening lap. Yes, turn one, lap one in any race is always very important. But you've got to think, heading down to Rettifiglio, you're close to racing speed and you're coming down to a near crawl. It's one of those times that the whole motoring world just kind of grips and hopes that nothing goes wrong. And you could well be caught up in an incident that isn't of your making. I think every racing driver out there, sim or otherwise, has been caught in a Rettifiglio incident on lap one. I know I've caused and have been in my fair share of them. So yeah, it's going to be survival in the opening laps and then really get going. I mean, we're not talking about long races here, so they won't have time to kind of settle into a rhythm and kind of wait for things to come to them. They've got to get out there and get on with it.
Yeah, as you said, Rettifiglio, it is a challenging corner for the start of the race. You either want to be right at the front or right at the back. In the middle, it's always that grey area where you don't know what's going to happen. You're relying on other drivers to go the same speed as you into the corner. And I think it's fair to say it never ends out well.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most nervous places to be, other than possibly Monaco, I'd have thought. Is if you're in mid-pack in Monaco, then it really is the most scariest place in the world, in the racing world, to be. I would have the trackside now, and we'll be getting the rolling start underway. The start, as you can see from the map, they actually started the rolling lap from before Parabolica, so this won't be a complete racing lap, and then it's 30 minutes of absolute pushing to the limit. Now there is a mandatory stop. That's what the orange one in the next to the car numbers indicates. So when that turns green, that means they've served their mandatory stop. Well, for you people getting very fidgety on the brakes, you can see that Luke Whitehead and Hamada Akizi are not in a hurry to get the field going. But it's up to Luke Whitehead. Well, Luke Whitehead will get the countdown to get going. You see everyone is just ready to go. This is when the adrenaline is absolutely pumping. The heartbeat is through the roof. Just going to wait for it.
Green light. Go, go, go.
And we are racing here at Monza. It's been a pretty decent start throughout the field. The Ferrari of Urquizy tucks into the slipstream behind the Lamborghini of Luke Whitehead, charging down towards Rettifiglio for the first time in anger. Who's going to get their braking points right to see if everybody... Oh, that's Atkins. I think it's got a little bit quickly down the middle of the third and fourth position, but does manage to get that one done. Looks like the field has made it through okay, but look at Urquizy. Hamada is not wanting to let Luke Whitehead dance off into the distance. Lambo versus Ferrari on the opening round here in Monza. Oh, it is on!
Yeah, this is a great battle between the two cars. They're trying to go around the outside of Del Rogia. That's definitely not going to work. Luke Whitehead will defend his line until the last moments. Urquizy, he's going to look left, right and centre. Has to back out for the first of the Lesmos though. Will he have a look into second Lesmos? Luke Whitehead goes a little bit wide. Urquizy looks on the inside, has to tuck in though. And Luke Whitehead's gone very wide. That's into the gravel trap. Will he lose any positions? Urquizy waits off for him. But who's that into the lead now?
I think that's Urbrecht that's in the lead now. Oh no, further down the field, Christopher Lindgreston has had a massive problem. He's lost 12 positions. So he's right down the tail end of the field. And what a great shame for him. It is indeed Jan-Nicolas Urbrecht that is in the lane now, the 299 Lamborghini. Yeah, there was a tiny tap in between Whitehead and Urquizy. That's why the Ferrari waited for the Lambo to return to the circuit. That's a shame, but Luke really felt the need to defend very, very early on. Let's see the start again, as this is right in the midfield. Oh, wow, you can see how close the field gets. Oh, tiny bit of a tap there. Nothing in the GT3s, they can deal with little taps like that. But almost because of the parking, a parking lot, there's lots of bumping and shoving going on. Oh no, there's a spin there. The big Lamborghini's gone round. There were several of the Lamborghinis facing the wrong way, going through Del Rogia. Now jumping back up to the front of the field. Lap one is done. Urbrecht leads Atkins, leads Norton, leads Ziga. So Luke Whitehead down to fifth. Urquizy into sixth position. Oh no, that's Felix Chaff that's gone. Oh no, was he helped into the spin? Not entirely certain from that camera angle. It was very close between himself and McEwing, but he's going to fall through the field. But look at this. So we had the pressure being applied between Akisi and Whitehead. Now is Jan-Niklas Erbrich fending off Atkins for that lead. Is the top 5 all being Lamborghinis.
Yeah, you can see Erbrich feeling a lot of pressure from Atkins behind, and it's just a matter of time before Atkins tries a move. You can see the slipstream very strong around this track. Luke Whitehead and Okezi obviously massive losers on the last lap. Unfortunately, there was contact between them. As we have a look at Luke Whitehead now, he's just going to be on top form surely, and he's going to be trying to make his way back through the field.
He is, but he's lost a position. Excuse me, he's down to 6th now. There's Felix Chaff. We saw having a bit of an excursion earlier on. Oh dear, he's boxed in between a couple of Lamborghinis there. Replay. So this is Felix Chaff. This is where it went wrong for him last time around. Coming down towards the Retifidio. Oh, he's gone in a bit deep. Although he's managed to slow that one down, but it's on the exit of the chicane where it goes wrong for him. It's again difficult to tell from the camera angle whether he had a tap there, but I think he was a bit heavy on the right foot there, and that's unsettled the car and into the dust he went. But there he is now up to 16th position, deep, coming into Parabolica, and that's someone actually pulling over, it looked like. So someone's having a very bad day as the leaders come round to start lap 3. Erbrich still fending off from Atkins. Norton he's got about 7 tenths or so. Big pardon, about a second or so between himself and the top 2. So the top 2 starting to break away a bit. There's Norton. He's a little bit of no man's land there. He's not close enough to gain from a slipstream. But the more that Erbrich and Atkins fight, that's going to help the number 12 car get back into this fight. But they may well just settle in. However, Luke Whitehead, there he is in 6th now. Akizi's actually up to 4th, so Hamada Akizi's having a great run there. Look at the pack that's behind Luke Whitehead. So Cox, Kunsten Sober is in there as well. And a stop go penalty has been applied to Marmer as well as Coleman Corkery side by side with that's Dombret in the Treble 8 car. They're having an argument still going on down into the first Lesmo, and they're still giving each other racing room. Still, no one wants to concede. Yeah, Corkery's going to have the inside line, but that's well defended from Dombret. Well done there to maintain that 23rd position. Very, very nicely driven. And as is always the way in GT3 racing, there's just fights everywhere.
Yeah, Dombret doing a great job in that battle, but as we're back on board with Felix Chaff, we saw him go off earlier, but now he's on the comeback drive through the field. He's got a lot of pressure from behind, from Murao behind him. Let's see what he's able to do going down into Parabolica. Now you can see the slipstream is very heavy. Chaff goes to the inside, but around the outside, will the 733 be able to do anything? No, he won't. He has to chuck back in, but that's very wide from Chaff, and that opens the door for the overtake as we go back on board with Erbrich now, defending his lead. Atkins, a lot of pressure from behind, but it looks like Erbrich is putting his car in the perfect place at the perfect time right now.
Absolutely was. Renoir did a nice switch back there coming through the Parabolica to get that move done. I reckon Erbrich and Atkins are opting not to fight each other too much to try and capitalise on trying to get away from Norton's. We look at Ashton Cox. What's happened to him? Oh, yeah, you saw his car got really squiggly coming through the first segment. Sadly, he's collected someone there. Can't quite see who it is he's had an argument with, but that's a great shame. Just caught that apex a little bit harder than he was anticipating. The car just got out of shape and round he went. That's a great shame. But look at these two, Erbrich and Atkins. They're not fighting each other. Atkins is just staying in the slipstream, biding his time, and that is helping them extend that gap between themselves and Norton in the 12 behind them. It's fairly steady. It's 1.7, so it's gone up a little bit in the last couple of laps. So he's kind of remaining steady, but it's really up to Norton to try and close that down. But he's got Hamada Akizi. We know how quick he's been, even in this early stages. So Akizi really is closing in. He wants to get back up to the front.
Yeah, as we have a look at Ashton Cox now, he's trying to recover, but he's got a lot of pressure from Legreston behind in that multicoloured car behind. And you won't get that out of your mirrors, as it's very easy to see, and it won't go away anytime soon for the driver. But Cooch, we have a look at him now, having to defend from the driver behind, which I'm guessing is Chef. No, not Chef, that is Rosar behind, sorry. That's Rosar in the 690 Lamborghini. As you see, there's quite a bit of a gap between Cooch and Rosar now, but he seems like he will be able to hold the position going into Retfilio.
Oh, this is a nearly 3 wide heading down towards Retfilio now. They need to get that one sorted out before they get there. The black Lamborghini doesn't know who to defend from. That's Cox trying to defend from everybody in the world. Nearly 3 wide. Oh, and then look at this. There's someone that's missed their breaking point. Oh, that could have gone horribly, horribly wrong for the blue Ferrari that was just cannoning towards the chicane. And there you just see him there destroying one of the polystyrene boards, rejoining in much the safer way. So we get a great onboard shot there from Ashton in the 158 Lamborghini as he's heading down towards the second chicane. Oh, he got that one a little bit wrong. Well defended. Well, that's someone taken to the tarmac, trying to avoid a mistake. The onboard, I think, actually is Lindgreston in the 92 Ferrari. It's a very sky liveried colour, that one. Oh, hello, that's Arkeezy. My goodness, he's up to third. He's already managed to get past the number 12. Or he's still attempting to complete the manoeuvre a little, in fairness. Heading down towards Parabolica. Now, who's going to blink first? Oh, wow. That's very well defended there from Norton. He was determined to maintain that third position and does so with an outbreaking manoeuvre. I do think that Keezy's got the pace over him. And with a little bit of slipstream help, and more than likely the inside line, that third is probably going to go to the way of the 717.
I wouldn't be too sure yet. You see, he hasn't got such a great run on Norton yet. But Arkeezy, you can see the pace advantage he has over the driver ahead. Nearly runs into the back of him going into Retfilio. But as we go back now to Renault, as he makes his way down the home straight in P13, he's got pressure from behind, which is Chef. As Chef, he gets a very good run. Is he going to have a look for an overtake, though? It looks like Renault is going to cover off the inside line and maybe look for an overtake at the same time. Maybe not, but he does defend his position for now. That's good for him.
Well driven for Rosar, Renoir and Chef there, maintaining that three-way battle further down the field. In 22nd position is Kim. Oh, I think that's a missed braking point there from Medved Davis in the 115 Lambo. I think that was who that was. But Milas Kiev in the 69 car, rather minding his own business there. Maintaining that 22nd spot as best he can. There's a great fight going on right behind them. Oh, here's Ben Norton and Armada and Keezy still having an argument for that third position. This is not what Keezy needed. He needed to get past that Lamborghini as quickly as he could. They're now 4.5 seconds behind the lead two, who are, as I said earlier, they're just minding their own business. They're not trying to, punch and counterpunch. There they are. They're about a second apart. They'll probably stay like that for a while. On board with, looking back from the Lamborghini of Ben Norton, you can just see Keezy dancing around behind him as he was Luke Whitehead in the opening stage of the race. Oh, that's a bit deep for Ben Norton. He's going to have to get out of the throttle a little bit to maintain that. The Ferrari's gone in the pits. That's where he's gone to. He has indeed. So it did look like the Ferrari spontaneously vanished there. But he's gone into the pits. Here is Lindgreston. Now that's close. What's happened here? Oh, now that's someone right ahead of Lindgreston has lost it, and sadly that's caused a big concertina effect, and that's 3 cars have been affected by someone else's mistake, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately 3 cars caught up in that contact. Afonseca has a lot of pressure from Pyramids behind. Will he be able to defend? You can see the Lamborghini absolutely charging down the straight. The top speed is given a massive advantage right now, and it looks like that will be an easy move for Pilmit, and he will take the lead of that battle going into Retfilio. Don't forget about Chef behind, though. We saw him have an incident earlier, but I'm sure he's still hungry for those positions back.
The pit window open for another 8 minutes. They have to serve their pit stop in that middle section of the race, otherwise they will get a penalty post-event. But yeah, Afonseca fending off Chef, who goes for a big move on the inside. He's not going to be able to slow that down. Fair effort from the 27 Ferrari, but he has managed to keep some momentum going, so he hasn't lost an awful lot of time. But right behind Afonseca and Chef is Parner and M. Elbrecht. So another two-way battle is forming behind them. Here is Jan Erbrich and Elbrecht. So two very similar names. Here comes the German. Is he going to come in this time? The 299 DJ Racing Lambo? Yes, he does. So hopefully he doesn't lose too much time in the pits. There's Ben Norton doing the same thing behind. O'Hack doing the same. As we jump to this battle again, Jorge Afonseca, the Portuguese car, it's still in this wonderful battle with Chef and Parner. Down the back straight, heading towards Parabolica. Is Chef going to make a move? I wouldn't be surprised if they all kind of pin into the bits at the same time. That's not going to stop Chef, though. Has a look on the inside line. Coming into Parabolica, but no, opts not to take that particular move this time. Who's going to come into the pits this time? Will they all follow suit? It looks like Afonseca is sticking to that inside line. Yep, in he comes. Chef didn't. It looks like Afonseca was the only one of that particular pack to come in. So now Pyramids leads the way.
Yeah, so Pyramids now in the lead of the race, obviously in the net lead of the race, as he has not yet served his pit stop. Jan-Nicolas Erbrich, he is was in the lead of the race. He has served his pit stop now, so he does not need to worry about that anymore. Silver Pyramids in the lead of the race right now, but I'm sure he won't be for long after he's made that pit stop.
Indeed, as he comes around to Cabagrande himself, the 23 Ferrari, Lamborghini, now down into the Della Loggia. You see the tower starting to correct itself now for those that have not pitted just yet. I guess still three-way fights going on. Chef, Parner and Elbrecht right behind them. We jump down to Carly Atkins in the 41 car, and now in 7th position. Wasn't 10th when he crossed over the line. So Jan Erbrich is still the lead car of those that have pitted by quite some distance. We'll see if that distance is still correct when they cross the timing beam again. Looking back from Carly Atkins, that's Akezi that's right behind him. Oh, that gets very, very close. It's always a worrying moment when you see someone gaining on you that hard in a braking zone. But Akezi's had a lovely run through the Della Loggia. Atkins knows that one is done. Lets the Ferrari through. Lovely move there from Akezi for currently 7th position into Lesmo 1. Nicely done.
Yeah, what looked like a very easy move to pull off from Akezi there, but I'm sure it wasn't that easy. But Atkins, he does fall victim to another move of Akezi on his way back through the field. His next target ahead is Ben Norton. We saw a great battle between Akezi and Norton earlier, but will we see a reenactment of that? Or will Atkins be able to get them both? And that's very, very wide from Ben Norton. He's going to fall victim to Akezi, but will Atkins be able to take advantage of that? We'll watch them go down into Parabolica now. They will be side by side. It looks like Atkins is going to take the outside and he will slot in ahead. That's a big mistake, but it looks like he's back on the attack. Ben Norton, he does get the switchback once again. Atkins, he will not let that go, lying down as he gets a great run down the home straight. Now he's going to try and make a move into Retifilio as he goes down into the first chicane. Atkins, will he be able to make the move? It looks like Ben, he's not going to give up his line. Norton, he's going to try and hold it around the outside. Atkins, he leaves it in the space, takes the position. Wow, what a battle between these two drivers.
Very nicely done. There was no contact between the two, firm but fair, and very nicely driven indeed. 5-second penalty given to car 13. That's O'Hack for an avoidable incident. Few penalties being dished out as well. As is the nature of a very densely packed grid, there will be a few penalties given out. Oh, that's Pyramids that's gone a tad deep into Ascari. He hasn't pitted yet, so he's getting very out of shape as he comes through Ascari. Right behind him is the Ferrari of Chef, the 27 car. So those two should be coming in. They can do one more lap if they choose to. As you can see, the pit window is still open for another 3 minutes. They have to be in the pit lane by the time that closes. 10-second penalty for car number 89. That's Tom McEwing for an avoidable incident. Sadly, car number 1 has got a couple of penalties on him as well. So again, when the pack is that closely condensed, there will be a little argy-bargy. Now, Chef has chosen to continue. I thought he would come in at this point, which is fine. As long as he comes in at the end of this lap, he will avoid a penalty as Pyramids is in. He'll be the last person Chef rather will be the last person to come into the pits to serve his mandatory stop. Now, with those penalties applied, now this is going to be interesting. Some drivers may opt to, like, Luke Whitehead is behind O'Hack at the moment. He'll know that penalty is there. He may choose to sit there. I shouldn't imagine so for someone with Luke Whitehead's pace, but he may opt to, just sit there and not do anything silly and compromise his position. We will see as we're over halfway in the race.
Yeah, this is a very interesting strategy from Felix Chef here. We see the Ferrari driver just out in the lead, cruising around with an easy position right now, but with 2 minutes left on the pit window, he's going to pit right at the end, and surely you'd think the undercut is the strongest, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how it works out for Chef in the 27 Ferrari. But Ben Norton, we saw him having a great battle with Atkins earlier. Will he be able to regain any positions, or is he going to have some pressure from David O'Hack behind? Keep in mind, David O'Hack, he does have a 5-second penalty, so that will have a massive effect on his finishing order at the end. But it looks like there was a bit of battling between them now. David O'Hack, he is having a look at the driver behind, which is now Luke Whitehead. We've seen the pace of him, but when's he going to make an overtake?
That's the golden question, isn't it? Luke is putting the pressure on. You can see he's making his car as well known as he possibly can. In comes Felix Chef. He's left that to the last minute, but within the window just about. So he'll re-emerge some way down the field. Now, Jan-Niklas Urbrecht is going to reclaim the lead of the race. 3.4 seconds ahead of Akisi. Just saw him going through the shot there. That's not the white and red Ferrari behind him. It's the 717 Ferrari further back. So Urbrecht with a comparatively comfortable lead at the moment, but still 10.5 minutes to go. Anything can still happen. We've seen the odd mistake happen from some of these drivers. We will see Luke Whitehead has now gotten ahead of David O'Hack. There he is now up into what will be 5th position with the pit stop of Felix Chef, and already Luke is staying very, very committed to that defensive line. Does not want David O'Hack to try and counter-attack. And of course, the 13 car of O'Hack does need to get ahead and try and undo that 5 second if he wants to maintain that 5th position. Does look like he's going to have to kind of sit there and bide his time for now at least. But it is Urbrecht from Akisi from Atkins for our top 3. 10 minutes to go.
Yep, 10 minutes left on the clock. Pit window is now closed, so any pit stops made in, within this final 10 minutes of the session will not count as your mandatory pit stop. As we're now on board with David O'Hack, you can see the driver ahead of Luke Whitehead, the black Lamborghini just fading into the distance, and that's not really the view which you're wanting to see from O'Hack. Surely you'd want to be keeping up with the driver ahead, but it just doesn't seem possible right now.
No, he may well be pushing as hard as he can, but Luke Whitehead, well, we've seen his pace all night. It's been pretty blistering. We now head to Reina Rissar in the bright pink livery Lamborghini, being hassled hard by Dombrat in the Treble 8 car. That's for 15th position. Again, still great scraps happening throughout the field. Most of the field have spread out now. It's taken this long for them to spread out, in fairness. And right ahead of them, look at that. That's Afan Sika, not far behind Pyramid. So there's a potential battle forming there for 13th position if they condense together. But you can see from the overall view of the mini-map, there are gaps, obviously, but there's still broadly very, very contained in small clusters. Again, look at the timings on the tower. They're not masses of seconds apart. Oh, there will be if you do that, Mr. Dombrat. They're going a little bit wide on the exit of Ascari there. And behind them, that's Consabo, who does have the 11-second penalty for an avoidable incident. It's a bit of a shame. There he is, Consabo in the Ferrari. That 10-second penalty won't, if the race would have finished now, wouldn't make any difference at the moment. There's still another 8 minutes to maintain that spot. Anything can happen in that time.
Yep, 8 minutes, as you said, left. Anything can happen in these remaining stages of the race. As we see a replay now, we are on board with Zish as he makes his way into Ascari. Let's see what happens here. He goes very deep into the first part, tries to use a little bit too much curb and just loses it. Has a little bit of a connection with the wall. Just says hello, enters the gravel trap, and he will make his way back out very shortly. But as we are on board with Zabo, as he makes his way onto the back of the field, the number 11 car does have a 10-second penalty, though, so that's not going to go in his favor in any way, shape, or form. We see Urbrick now making his way around Parabolica with a 3-second lead, but we've just had an update from the stewards. There was an incident between car 27 and car 733. There is a 10-second penalty awarded to car 27. So that will be a penalty for Chef. We've had such bad luck in the race for him, and that's just not going to make it any better.
No, is Day getting a little bit worse with that one, and that will drop him quite some way. Oh, wow, that would actually drop him down to about 17th of the race would have finished now from potentially his 11th spot. It's a great shame, but still time for that to change. We look at Jan-Niklas Urbrick continuing his right now. That gap is dropping between himself and Hamada Akizi. There is the H3 driver in the 717 Ferrari in the background. Oh, look at this lot. So there's Pit Mitts. There's the green car slightly ahead of this particular pack as Ziga is getting alongside. That is out. A big button, that I believe. Well, there's Ziga. That's Dumbret that is already ahead of him. And there goes Rassar and Afron Sika having a great argument for 13th place. I did think that we'd have an argument for the 13th position going on. And that could actually help Chef with these. Oh, bit of a nudge there on the 315. Now that could actually help Felix Chef, because if these guys really slow each other up, that will mitigate the damage to Chef's position. So this is exactly what the 27 Ferrari wants.
Yeah, we can see a great battle going on between Afonseca and Piermitz. I'm sure that Afonseca will not let that one go. Sorry, not between Piermitz, I mean Rassar. So Rassar, he does currently take P13, but Afonseca, I'm sure he'll try to have a go, but you know who is trying to have a go? It's Gombrich. He's very close to the back of the P14 car of the Ferrari. It looks like that Lamborghini's looking very strong around this track. And they just have so much more pace down the straights. That's very wide from Gombrich. And it doesn't look like Afonseca made it much better for him. As you can see, all the dust kicking up onto the windscreen of the Lamborghini. That will give a little bit of a break to Afonseca, though. Look in the wing mirrors around the outside. Is that going to make a move for Sabo? As he tries to make the move, he makes it stick. Outstanding move there from Zabo, but remember, he does have a 10-second penalty, so that will not still be there at the end of the race.
That was a great move from the 11 Ferrari there. Again, Zabo, really opportunistic. He saw the made that mistake on the exit of the second Lesmo and capitalized on it perfectly well. Very nicely executed. And he'll want to dance off to the distance, but doesn't have a lot of time to mitigate that 10-second penalty, as you mentioned. That is fine for us. More battling gives us more to shout about, more amazing racing to enjoy, as Peter de Brandt is looking to have a go back at Consabo coming down into the rest of the video. Doesn't quite get alongside the Ferrari. Let's see what he's able to do. Oh, that was quite a poor exit from the Retifido for the Treble 8 Lamborghini, as Consabo sort of leapt away from the exit of that chicane. He's chasing off after Afonseca. Let's have a look. This is Ashton Cox. He's had another misadventure. What's he done? That's second there's on the way down towards Ascari. What's happened here? Oh, that's a very odd place to have an incident. I wonder whether he's had a technical problem of some description, and that's retired him from the race. Well, that's an almost non-existent bend in the straight there, so that's very strange. I would imagine that's a technical problem for Ashton Cox. Great shame to exit the race in that manner.
Yeah, that was very unusual there from Ashton Cox. You just saw the car rotate in a straight line, so I guess we'll have to somehow try and find out what happened there. But Piermitz You can see behind him Rosard, the pink Lamborghini, looking very strong in these last stages of the race. You know who isn't looking strong right now? That's Piamitz as he goes off into the gravel trap, as we see battling in the background. But Rosard, you can see he's going to go to the outside of Parabolica. Will he be able to hang it around the outside? No, but will he be able to go for the switchback? He's actually went very wide, but so has his, teammate, his co-driver, which he's been battling with. You can see Piamitz up ahead, but Dombrett, it looks like he will make a move on there. Kunsab, as he tries to hold his line down the straight. You can see the Lamborghini under pressure from the Ferrari driver with the 10-second penalty. It looks like Gonzabo's going to try and make his way around the outside. Will manage to make it do so. He goes very late on the brakes and nearly goes into the back of Afonseca. And it looks like Dombrett, he's going to have to try and make another move another time.
I'd imagine there was a few bracing words in Portuguese in the 315 Ferraris. He saw the nose of Dombrett getting Contaba rather, getting very, very close to him. Oh, they're still at it. Look, that's Rosard and Piamitz. The 23 Lamborghini still holding on to that 12th position, fending off the pink Lambo as best he can. Right behind them is the battle we've just been seeing. Rosard, Afonseca and Cansado, along with Dombrett. There is Peter Dombrett, the German, in the Chevrolet car at the back of that particular train. There is Cansado now having a go at Afonseca for 14th position on the second Nesmo, with only a couple of, 1.5 minutes remaining until the checkered flag falls. Cansado side by side with Afonseca heading down towards Ascari. Now Afonseca doesn't need to defend this, and I imagine he won't to too much degree, and indeed he doesn't. He just lets the 11 Ferrari go ahead of him as they head into the third sector. Because knowing that penalty is there, he will regain that position now at default, but he can't let off the gas too much as Dombrett is right on his tail. That trio having a great old scrap there. Rosard is just gone down the road, comparatively speaking, having to go at Piamitz. But no, again, there's Dombrett having to go at Afonseca again. So that battle is going to go to the flag.
Yep, Afonseca, he let one driver pass, and I'm sure he won't be letting another one pass. Dombrett, though, 40 seconds left on the clock. This will be the last lap for these drivers. Urbrick, he's in the lead, but by 1.3 seconds now, so the gap has dropped massively to Kesey behind. You can actually see him making his way into Ascari now. Urbrick, he's going to make his way out of Ascari, and that was someone off in the middle of Ascari in the gravel trap, but it looks like Urbrick, he's still going to hold on to the lead for now. 1.6 seconds behind is Urquizy. Will Urbrick lift off the throttle just a little bit to try and not make it one more lap? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That will be the checkered flag falling these laps for the drivers, which means that Jan-Nicolas Urbrick will win here in Monza for the race. For the first race of the Italian job, Urquizy will take a respectable P2 from that horrendous lap one that he has. Atkins will take a very good P3. Norton in P4, it's going to be Whitehead in P5, as we still have scraps going on all the way through the field. Chef, he's going to try and defend his position to the line though, but remember, Gooch will get the position because of the penalty he has.
Indeed, he shall, but he's not going to stop pushing nonetheless. And Gooch is just staying with him, staying in the tyre tracks of the 27 Ferrari down to the line. What a great race we've had to kick off the Italian job. Still another race to do. We do the whole sequence all over again at Imola. But as a reminder, anyone that started in the Lamborghini has to use the Ferrari next time around, and of course vice versa. As Felix Chef has crossed the line, he crossed the line in 10th position, but of course won't maintain it due to his penalty. But, well, you can't take it away from Jan-Nicolas Urbrick. Whilst he may not have had the fastest car out there, he did what he needed to do to stay out of trouble and to bring home maximum points for the race. Very nicely done for the DJ Racing 299. The last of our finishers will come over the line.
From Jan-Nicolas Urbrick. It was great driving from him throughout. We saw him just clean up the messes that were made by Whitehead and Urquizy on the first lap, and he just managed to control it from there. What else could you ask?
Absolutely, didn't do anything that he didn't have to do, didn't push too hard, didn't make any mistakes, and he has reaped the maximum reward as a result. Now, there will be points dished out to our drivers in both events, and we will be speaking to the top 3 after our second race. So the king of the Italian jobs will be crowned after we have done Imola. So, stick around for that, as I'm sure there'll be a lot of words said. But also, Imola is a very different type of track. It's much more of a technical track. You don't have these big straights that the higher horsepower cars, mainly the Lamborghini in this case, can just deploy all those horses. So you'd have thought they would really favour the Ferrari. But again, as we saw, it was a very half-and-half split in Monza, and we didn't see all the Lamborghinis or all the Ferraris at the top of the tree. So I really can't wait for this. It's again, I don't think we're going to be able to call it. Whilst we know where the top 3 landed in Monza, I wouldn't be at all surprised if it's a very different pecking order for Imola.
Yeah, it's going to be so tight between these drivers, and you saw one car. Well, there wasn't really one dominant car. I think it all depended on the driving style of the drivers and how comfortable they are in these cars on certain tracks. But I think Imola will be a very different challenge.
Oh, yes, absolutely indeed. Right, we're going to have a short break before we head down to the wonderful track that is Imola. Don't go anywhere, because this one is going to be just as good. Stay with us here at World Pro Racing.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this World Pro Racing amazing event called the Italian Job. 2 races of all on Italian soil using Italian machinery. I'm Chris Buxton, joined by the wonderful Kai Bugini. What a night we've had so far, Kai, and it's going to get even better.
Yeah, an outstanding first race, lots of action and lots of drama as well. We saw the 2 drivers which qualified on P1 and P2 collision on turn 1, well, not turn 1, on lap 1, and that's pretty much them for the race. Urquizy managed to make his way back through to P3, but no, P2, sorry, but it just wasn't quite enough for that P1. But we are at Imola for the next track, and as you know, the drivers will be switching cars between the Lamborghini GT3 and the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo, and I think it'll be interesting to see how drivers adapt to the different cars.
Absolutely. So it's not just different track, it is different car. For those that started in the Lamborghini, they must now switch over to the Ferrari, and of course vice versa. Starting in the Ferrari means you head over to the Lamborghini this time. Now, I was rather expecting a bit of a one-sided affair for which car was going to be dominant at Monza. I did honestly expect the Lamborghini to be the more favoured one. It was very evenly split. So of course it will this time around. And in fairness, it was a Ferrari and a Lambo. It wasn't just all the Lamborghinis that ran off into the distance for Monza. So it really could go either way. I wouldn't be at all surprised, as mentioned, if we get a different backing order this time. We saw, say Luke Whitehead and Urquizy have that great fight, which Luke came home in 5th position. Still a very strong result. So let's not take that away, but it possibly wasn't as much as he would have liked. I think they're going to really have to fight hard to maintain that top 3 position, but anything can happen. Again, you've got a similar situation where you're charging down to the Tamburello chicane that turns 2, 3, and 4 complex. You're not hitting it quite as hard or quite as fast, I should say, as you do at Monza for the Rettifidio, but you've still got lots of cars trying to squeeze into a very tight space.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers congest into the turn 2, 3, and 4 corners, as you said. But not quite as fast as the Rettifidio chicane, but I'm sure it's just as much of a challenge.
Indeed. Now, this circuit is very different to Monza in the sense of it's more of a technical circuit. You don't have the long straights to deploy all the horses. From Rivazza back to Tamburello, there's some opportunity to deploy a lot of the horses these cars have, but it's definitely going to more favour the balance car that easier rotates more than the straight line speed monster. So we're going to the opposite car they're in, as we are, as you can see, 7.5 minutes to go in the practice session. It's Ben Norton currently at the top of the tree. Tom McEwing, we didn't really see a lot of Tom. He picked up a penalty, I think he did indeed, in the last race. And there he is, right at the top, just 2/10 off the back of Ben Norton. Okay, we haven't got very many times in, but that's still a pretty decent time at the top of the tree. But I would expect that to change hands quite a few times as even this session comes down, let alone the qualifying session that follows.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see the driver's pace and what they are able to put down on this 4.9 kilometer circuit. Much longer than Monza, and quite a few more corners as well. 19 corners compared to the 11 that we saw at Monza. But as you said, a more complex circuit, which would make me think that a lot of drivers would go for the Lamborghini, as it is a mid-engine car, which means that there's a lot of balance. There's not too much front end, not too much rear end, and it's kind of a bit in the middle. So I would have thought to see a lot of drivers going for the Lamborghini for this track, but we see a majority of the Ferrari.
We certainly do. I mean, bear in mind that there's more drivers on track than we can see in the tower, so they're a bit more spread out. We haven't had times from everybody yet. Oops, that's not an ideal way of taking the field. No chicane. Mr. Tomasi, let's resettle the nerves, get back into the groove. And the practice session is the time to see how hard you can push the car, see what alternate lines you may be able to squeeze a few tenths or a few hundredths out of your time. So wandering off the road is not going to be too detrimental at the moment. As we see the number 215 come through, Piratella down the hill towards Akko Minerali. Oh, now you saw that the car go very slidey coming into the double right-hander. It's a very, very tricky section of the car. There is Ben Norton, currently at the top of the tree in the GRT number 12 Ferrari, coming into Tosa. He's now going to start to climb the hill. Now, the first part of the Piratella, this right-hander here, really, really... Well, the first part, beg your pardon, first part of Piratella here gets very blind. You come over that apex, and you have to find your braking point whilst the car is trying to kind of take off almost. Then straight back down here. Now, this camera angle doesn't do it justice. That drop is really steep. And then you're into Akko Minerali. The car doesn't really settle down. You're trying to turn and brake at the same time. So you need a very balanced setup for that particular section. Of course, they don't want too much downforce. There are some straights where you can get a decent speed. So it's all about balance here. And there's one of the trickiest parts of this circuit, Variante Alta. Those sausage curves in the middle will absolutely send you into space if you hit them too hard. Now down the hill, heading towards Rivazza. Double left-hander. Very easy to go off into the dust. And just as I say that, we see a lot of dust being kicked up by someone. There's a few variations of this circuit. As you'll see, you ride on board with the number 12. Some more time starting to come in. As he screams down the line. Does he improve? He does. He jumps back up into second position by 41.4. Now starting to see some more representative times. Oh, Kesey is reminding us his pace is still good with a 40.8 now on the board.
Yeah, just a reminder for you guys as Ben Norton gets very close to the car and goes off into the gravel just a little bit. But just a reminder for you guys watching at home, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and follow whatever platform you're watching on. Make sure to help us out. If you like what you see, let's see if you are able to support us in any way possible. That would be greatly appreciated, guys. But back to the action. Ben Norton currently P2 by half a second. We saw this in Monza. Luke Whitehead, he was fastest in practice by half a second. Now it's Kesey that's fastest in practice by half a second. But we didn't see that stand for the actual qualifying, and we definitely didn't see a stand for the race. So is this once again just other drivers sandbagging, getting into Kesey's head that he thinks that he's the fastest, and then he won't know what hits him in qualifying?
Who knows? The only people that know that are the ones that are on track at the moment, as we see Cyril Piermet drive through a face full of dust being kicked up from the car ahead of him up, and he kicks up his own as he goes off the road. Ravazza, exactly what I was talking about before. It's, again, a downhill braking zone coming into Ravazza. Very, very easy to get that one wrong, and it is very bumpy. These cars ride the bumps pretty well, but when you're trying to brake, the last thing a car wants is to be unsettled as he's being chased over the line. Can't tell who that is directly behind him. Oh dear, that's someone that's parked it on the side of the road. Couldn't quite tell which of the Lamborghinis that was. There's a wrecking that very, very distinctive livery, this time on the 299 Ferrari. He's going to pull into the pits, currently in 5th position. Not a bad time there, our Monza race winner. There's Chris Gooch. The two Gooches are next to each other in the tower at the moment. This time in their respective Lamborghinis. As we see, here you see Chris is coming down to the Ravazza. You just see how the car bounces around as they come down the hill. Oh, and again, you see a fair amount of dust being kicked up by someone ahead of him. As the grey and pink Ferrari ahead of him. Now, you will want to run wide to maximise your exit speed, but the problem with doing that is it's very, very bumpy and very dusty. You do risk having to spin. Does Chris improve? He sets his best time of the session. Sees him still in 13th position.
Yep, Chris Gooch just trying to find the grounds to build on top of. 4 seconds off the fastest time right now. That's not really where you want to be, as we see a car going off in the background. That is the blue Ferrari in the background. Couldn't exactly see what number that is, but that's someone going very slow through the next section. The 86 car is behind, so that is Elbrecht in the blue Ferrari that went off earlier. As we see drivers already trying to overtake each other in practice. You'd think that people would be practicing their quali runs, but no, they're practicing for the race.
Probably just having some fun out there at the moment, and why not? Helps settle the nerves a little bit. Samir Faulkner, we didn't see a lot of the number 9 last time around, but here is currently in 5th position, 1.4 off of what is now Luke Whitehead's time. So Luke again. So it is actually the top 2 that we had last time around. Again, a reminder, in opposite cars. This time the Ferraris are a lot of the top 15, indeed 13 of the top 15. 13 of the top 15 cars are indeed the Ferraris. So Samir then currently in 5th place, 41.8 on the board. So he did find a little bit of time, but not a position in the practice board. He's catching the back. I think it's Rassar in the very distinctively pink car. Into the Villeneuve chicane. Oh, that was a little close. An unusual place to let somebody through there, but it paid off all right. Samir just to continue. I'm a little surprised we've not got more times on the board. Not everybody coming out, or at least not everybody setting a time in this practice session. Not obligatory, of course, but I would always want to maximise the amount of track time possible, just to iron out those lines, if nothing else, just to reaffirm where your braking points are. Because in the heat of battle, it is actually possible to just miss your braking points, forget where they are, and you're sailing off into the sunset. So, a little surprised that we have 18 times on the board, but even still, he's starting to paint a picture of who we could potentially expect towards the front.
Yeah, if you look at the mini-map, you can see the amount of drivers in the pit lane right now. And that's actually a massive shock to me, and as you've exclaimed, it's a massive shock to you that not many drivers have actually went out on track and set a lap. Only 19 drivers have set a lap on the board right now. A couple of people going for their final flying laps at the end of the session. Some quali lap right now as he makes his way through the final 2 corner of Ravazza, as he makes his way on to this straight now, the old chicane of Bassa, but he makes his way down the home straight now. He's going to cross the line, but where's it put him? It's going to put him up to P7, so a great lap from Ohak there.
Nicely done. A good improvement there from David Ohak towards the end of that session, but again, similar names towards the top end of the tree. All going to come down to qualifying, though, because as you quite rightly said earlier, Kai, the practice times didn't quite translate into quality times. That definitely didn't translate into race results at Monza. So it wouldn't be unfair to assume the same thing here at Imola. But, oh, yes, Monza was a great fight, and I'm fully expecting Imola to be much the same. Passing's not as easy in Imola because the speeds aren't generally as high. So that you do have some heavy braking zones, but they're not from such a high speed. So it's more to do with trying to force the mistake than it is the big bold braking moves that we saw into the likes of Ravazza last time, into Rettifidio last time out. But nevertheless, overtaking is definitely possible. Just needs the drivers to be a bit more creative.
Well, I think that's what's going to make this race so much more interesting, is that it takes a lot more skill to overtake around here. As you said, there's not as many high-speed corners, but there is some heavy braking zones, which does mean I'm pretty sure we will see quite a few dive bombs.
Indeed, but we will see. I would expect that we may see a few mistakes, there are times on the track, even though can get very narrow in certain places. We're now into the 10-minute qualifying session. Pretty much everybody has come out and field. There's a few cars that have yet to leave the pit lane. A lot of people getting out on there. Ashton Cox actually the lead car, so he's got free reign almost as far as interrupters ahead of him is concerned. But that means he won't get... Slipstream's not as effective here because, as we mentioned, the straights aren't as long. You can utilise it. It's just not as effective as it is in the likes of Monza. Coming down here, you start to get an idea of how steep the decline is into Ravazza, and using all the AstroTurf runoff there is the 158 Hastily Racing Ashton Cox now starting his time lap. Let's ride on board with the 158 then, so he comes over the line to start his first flying lap. The British driver stays over the left-hand side, straight lines it to the right, bangs on the brake just before the 100-meter board, down through the gearbox, just takes the apexes quite nicely. There's a few sausage curves on the inside of the second apex in particular, in the middle of the Tamburelli chicane. Nicely handled. Now down there, you can see the bumps really chucking the car around. That's under acceleration, let alone braking. Down into second for the exit of Villeneuve chicane. Nearly runs under the dust, but does keep it nice and steady. He's gone for a low second rather than a high first for Toza. Uses the AstroTurf on the exit of that hairpin. Now climbing up the hill again, you can really see how blind that right-hander is. There's the braking point, just past the 50-meter ball, runs over the apex on the left, utilises as much as he dares at the runoff from the outside. Now back downhill again. Again here you can see he's really those tiny little adjustments to the steering. It's not just one fluid movement through Acca Minerali. Because of the nature of the corner, you're downhill, you're braking and turning at the same time. Cars tend not to like that. Now it's Variante Alta. You can see how the car's being chucked around by the bumps coming through that chicane. Again, you use as much as you dare of that runoff area. Now going to come downhill again for Ravazza. Stay high over the right-hand side, down through the gears. Cut over the apex. Nicely done. The tail gets slightly lively. Oh, and again on the exit of Ravazza. Now it is hard on the throttle. What time does Ashton get on the board? The start-finish line is actually quite some way down the road. What does he get? It is a 42.6. It's already been usurped. 41 flat from Luke Whitehead. It looks like Aston Stone was disallowed. But 41 flat from Luke Whitehead. But we were seeing 40s on the board in the practice session. There is Matthias Elbrecht. There was the blue Ferrari we were referring to in the practice session. That had a bit of a misadventure. He's chasing several cars actually, because, well, everyone is pretty much chasing someone. Look at the mini-map now. It is absolutely swarming. Even though it's a longer track, you still just end up with these groups of cars. What does Matthias Elbrecht get on the board? That's a 45.6, but has not been allowed, so he's wandered off the road somewhere. But again, because it's a longer lap, they don't have much time to get those many laps in.
Yep, Ravazza, it's one of the most tricky sections on the track, and I think a lot of drivers overlook it. It looks like you can carry so much speed into the corner, but it just cuts off mid-corner. It goes very tight all of a sudden, and it's very easy to go off into that gravel trap, and as you said, kick up some dust for the drivers behind you. But as we have a look at Gonzalo, as he makes his way down through a very tricky section, as he makes his way up the hill once again, he's going to make his way down the short straight into Variante Alta. As he makes his way through, using all the curb available to him. And you can just see the car flying over that, so ride height will be pretty high for Consabo, so he doesn't damage any of the car as he goes down longish straight down into Rivata now into the braking point. Gets it pretty much perfect, uses all of the runoff available to him through the second section, carries a lot more speed than the driver ahead of him as he gets the slipstream down the home straight. Now this is the perfect situation for Consabo, and he's going to cross the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be P4. It's going to be 1 second off the lead driver, and it's going to be a 142.240.
Nicely done for Consabo there in the 18 car. It's the Ferraris that are ruling the roost at the moment. Here's Samir Fark again. We didn't see a lot of him in the last race, but we're certainly seeing a lot of him now. Look at that, just 9/10 off the top spot, and he doesn't look like he's got anyone to slipstream off of. A lot of drivers are taking a lot of that initial curb to try and straight line that chicane as much as possible. I mean, it sounds very obvious, but that chicane, as we saw from Consabo's lap, will launch you into the air. So they've got to be careful on how much of that they take. And of course, they don't want to cut it too much because they will be penalised if they do. But Samir Fark is doing a great job in the number 9. Gets through Rivazza. Only less than 3.5 minutes to go now. As he's hard on the gas, does he improve? 9/10 to find to Luke Whitehead, which in itself is is nothing to be ashamed about. He has indeed improved in that second position for the Code Brown Racing number 9. Very nicely done, a 41.3, just 3/10 off the top spot.
Yeah, Samir Fark, a great lap there from him. 3/10 off the top spot now. Luke Whitehead surely feeling the pressure, surely feeling the heat from the drivers behind now. But yeah, Nicholas Erbrick, we saw him win in Monza, but will he be able to recreate that here in Imola as he crosses the line? What time is it going to be for him? It's going to be P2, and it is going to be 6/10 off the leader right now, so that's a massive improvement there from Luke Whitehead. It's a 140.656 for him now. And Nicholas Erbrick, he does improve, but so does Luke Whitehead, so it's an even bigger gap now.
You've just set a lap. It's just gained you a position, and you're even further behind the leader when you started. Talk about a mind game from Luke Whitehead. Struth, that's an absolute blinder from the 202, but still plenty of positions aside. That's one way of taking it's not the most legal way of taking Variante Alta, whoever it was that flew over the road. Carly Atkins now, we saw him more towards the sharper end last time out for the PC Boys Esports squad. In the 41 car, wow, that's someone kicking up a lot of dust and nearly collecting someone right behind the 41 Ferrari there. Over the line for Carly Atkins. That's fourth, a great lap there, 41.562. Less than a second behind the all-dominant Luke Whitehead at the moment. Oh, I wondered where Hamada was, and there he is. He's jumped up into second place. But he's still just under 4/10 off the top spot. Here's a Ryan Renoir in the light blue Lamborghini, the 732 for UFFS Racing. Does he improve? 1.4 off the pace, and that is a new best for him. I don't think it's counted. Felix Chef, we saw a fair amount of him. He's in the very multicolored Lamborghini. No improvement there. He's still 16th position as will be his last lap on the board. There's Silver Pyramis. I saw a fair amount of him as well last time out in the 66 car. Using all the runoff area there in the exit Rivata. What can he do? Can he improve this time out? 1.7 behind the leader at the moment. Does he improve from 11th position? He does. He's up to 8th position. He's found 3/10 on time out with a 41.9.
Yeah, a good lap there from Pyramis. That does improve him up to P8. As we see Dom Brett, we saw a great battle from him and a couple of other drivers in Monza, but he makes his way down the home straight. He crossed the line, and it will be P10. That's an improvement for him, a 142.072. So a good improvement from Dom Brett. But as we go on board with Keeve now, as he makes his way round the back of the corner, as he makes his way down through Rivazza. He's going to make his way onto the home straight with a little bit of action from the rear end as well. That's definitely not going to aid him in any way, shape or form. Crosses the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be P24. It's going to be a 145.754.
Samir Fark, once again, he's come out of Rivazza, 41.2, his previous best. He's improved since we last looked. He's now just half a second, and his improvement again in time but not position. As the checker flag has now fallen, That's a great effort there. So Samir Foch seems much more at home here at Imola in the Ferrari than he was in Monza in the Lamborghini. Jan-Niklas Erbrich, where will he land this time around? He is currently 6/10 off the top spot. Will he improve? That green Ferrari ahead of him is too far ahead to gain his slipstream, so that isn't going to help him. Let's see. 6/10 to find. What can he do? And that is second. He found 3 of them. Very, very nicely done. 140.977 for the DJ Racing 299.
Yeah, good lap there from Jan-Niklas Erbrich as he gets his way back up into P2. That is definitely going to aid him off the start. We saw him clean up the mess that was made earlier. Ben Norton, though, across the line, makes his way up into P7 with 141.652, sorry. That's a great improvement there from Ben Norton. But Jan-Niklas Erbrich, he just snatches up P2 at the end, and I think that's definitely going to be a good starting position for him.
What an absolutely storming lap there. But, I mean, God, Luke Whitehead, those times are just inhumanely quick. With a bit more luck in the opening laps, I think he will be definitely one to watch. But I'm very much looking forward to Samir Foch as well. We barely saw him in Monza in the Lamborghini, but wow, what a stunning performance in the Ferrari this time around. Yeah, I did think we'd have a bit of a shuffle of the order, and that is proving to be true. And Luke Whitehead still right up there. It's where they finish when the checkered flag falls for the race that really ultimately counts.
Yeah, outstanding performance from Luke Whitehead in qualifying once again. But he had an unfortunate start in Monza. Will he be able to turn this first in qualifying to a P1 in the race? I guess we'll have to try and find out.
Well, it's all in their hands now, and we very much look forward to talking you lovely spectators through it when we head to the track very shortly to get this second race of the Italian job underway. This is going to be fabulous. Been looking forward to this, and our drivers have not disappointed.
Yep, no disappointment at all from start to finish in the first race. Let's hope we have the same from Imola. I have some driving experience around Imola, so I know what these drivers are going through, and we know that it's very difficult track to nail perfectly. But Luke Whitehead, it seems like he managed to do that in qualifying.
He certainly did. The Ferrari really proving to be the hot property here at Imola, much as they thought it would over the Lamborghini, but again, we're not seeing devastatingly huge gaps. The Lamborghini still proving its worth amongst the field of Ferraris. But I've only raced it in its sim racing form, and I tend to find this track rather bumpy. We saw some of the cars being chucked around quite a few times. What's your experience here at Imola?
Well, yeah, as you were talking about Variante Alta, it's a difficult chicane to get perfect, as you need to use a lot of the curb to get the car completely straight through that chicane to carry the most amount of speed. But if you use just a tiny bit too much curb, you either get invalidated.
And here we are then. So, as I mentioned before, it is a rolling start. Whoops, a few people are a little reluctant to get going, it seems, in the midfield. Again, a mandatory pit stop, 30-minute race, same as we had before. And this is when the nerves will rise, the tensions will start to build. And Kesey, the lead Lamborghini, up there in third position this time. Luke Whitehead, once again, on the front row. It is race one winner, Jan Erbrich, in the 299 car that joins Luke on the front row. So when the lights go green, and when Luke floors it, we will be racing here at Imola. This is always the part where I get most nervous, when you're just waiting for the inevitable. People warming up their brakes and getting as much temperature going as they can. Got to be too careful they can't run off too far into the distance. They will be penalised for it. And yeah, it's just, again, that straight's so long. It just really just adds to the tension, adds to the build-up. And look at the inline camera shot there, just how long the field is.
Green light, go, go, go.
And here we go. We are racing here at Imola. That's not a great start from Erbrich. Kesey's had a great drop on that green light. He looks like he's going to be challenging for the lead as we come into the Summerley chicane. Luke Whitehead holds on to that one, having the inside line, but it's the Lamborghini up into second place now. Kesey usurping Erbrich, with his scream down towards Villeneuve for the first time in anger. Has everybody got their breakers on? Looks like it. Oh, look how close Kesey gets to the tail end of Whitehead. That's going to compromise his exit from the Villeneuve chicane. Getting a little too greedy too quickly, perhaps. But round Tozer we come now, start to come up the hill. Kesey doing a great job once again, hassling Luke Whitehead for the lead. You can see from the shot in the inlet shot there, the pack is being very well behaved throughout the field. There's no major incidents so far. Now back down the hill again. Whoa, as soon as I say that, that's some of Pyramids very, very wide up there at Piratella. Got two side by side all the way down the hill towards Aqua Rally. But it does look like so far so good.
Yeah, it looks like a very clean start from these drivers, which I wasn't really expecting, especially, as I say that, commentator's curse. It looks like that was Atkins' round, and it looks like that was Herbert caught up in it as well.
Oh no, we were tempting fate, weren't we, by saying it was a clean start. That's a great shame for Karim Atkins, but on go the field nonetheless. Whitehead leads a Kesey from Rick, from Ohak, from Seeger, and Samir Foch all the way down in 11th place there. Oh no, Dumbret starting 11th, now down in 28th at the tail end of the field. Has gone badly for him. We see Atkins' name plummeting through the field to where he now finds himself. There's Ben Norton. He was involved in a lot of fights last time around. Let's have a look at the replay there. So this is what happened to Peter Dumbret, starting in 11th place. Oh, he's overcooked at Aqua Minerali. Oh, well, they then caught up in someone else's incident. Oh, no. That was Atkins. That was Atkins' car he got caught up with there, I think. So both of them going to be, it was indeed, it was the 41 car of Atkins that sadly we saw Dumbret get tangled up with. Now David Hack up into 4th place now, still under pressure from Foch, who, since we've been talking, has gained a couple of positions. There is Carly Atkins, now down to, well, back up into 17th position, as you say, from that early. What a great shame. He's really looking strong in the early part of the race. But we did say this is down to survival in the early laps and then getting into that all-important rhythm.
Yeah, what we need to remember is that all the contact that Carly Atkins has had with other cars, that does mean that he will have damage on the car. As we see Ziz try and go for a move around the outside of Foch, doesn't manage to make anything work, as that looks like it was Norton bouncing over the curbs in the background, just overcooks it a tiny bit, and you can see the car getting thrown all over the place. Not really what you want to see. You can see the light shining off the top of the chrome-coloured cars as they make their way through the final part of the lap, through Rivazza and on to the home straight now. The field still very close behind each other.
Matthias Elbrecht down there in 24th position, not what the Estonian would have wanted, but not giving up and giving it all he's got all the same. Right ahead of him is Keeve, and then Chris Ligreston not having a great day either. They're in 23rd, but Elbrecht fending off Dumbret. Oh, look at Silver Pyramid fending off. That's McEwen that's right with him, as well as I think it was Atkins that was in that fight as well. That's for 13th position at the moment. I beg your pardon, that's the 19 car, so that's the Baija that is right there. He's grabbing with. Oh, that's somebody off in the background. I think that was Atkins that was kicking up some dust there. There's Elbrecht, as we were looking at earlier, still fending off people. Whoops! There goes Keeve and also Marmor as well, deciding to explore the sand trap. Quite a few people decided to build some sandcastles out there for some reason.
Yeah, a lot of dust being kicked up by the two Ferraris that we saw just go off. But we have but we have a little look at Tom Otte right now. Ashton Cox applying a lot of pressure to the back of that Lamborghini. Obviously, we see Ashton Cox in the Ferrari, the different car. I guess this is where we really see which car is the faster car around here. You can see the amount of top speed that Ashton Cox, and who was that off? That was a big moment for someone. You can see them pirouetting in the background. Big collision there, but who was it?
I think it was Pyramids that was shoved very unceremoniously into the wall. You'll see their name plummet as the drivers come over the line once again. We're looking at Ryan Renoir, a Belgian driver in the 732. Let's look for whose name falls. It looks.
Yeah,
It was
it was
indeed. It was
Pyramids.
Pyramids. Silver Pyramids was the one that was very unceremoniously shoved into the wall. I didn't quite see how that one come up. What a move! But that's too much for the 89. I thought it was bold from Tom McEwing. A great effort, but sadly could not slow that one down. So let's give him the position straight back to Kirsten Abijah. But that has allowed those behind to try and close up. Whoa! That's a bit late on the. That was Atkins, Karen Atkins getting very, very punchy there. That move was, wow, and that's a very, very, that rejoin was a tad aggressive, shall we say. Wow, I think Rassar had, I think Rassar's life flashed before his eyes there. That was a very, very sudden track rejoin there. Let's have a look at, so this is Silver Pyramids, so this is what happened. He's with the 89. Oh, he did it on his own.
Ooh, that's a big crash.
Yeah, it is indeed. It was Tom McEwing he was with, but that was more on his own efforts there. Oh, here's Abijah again, having some more adventures there. Someone going through the dust in avoidance, I think. Well avoided in that particular instance, but my word, a few people getting very, very punchy, and unsurprisingly, car number 41 has earned themselves a 10-second penalty for a dangerous recovery to track. But, well, we rather saw that happen, and I'd say that was quite fair. Ooh, was Greston getting very, very close to the back of Silver Pyramids on his recovery drive, who's actually got, is that the Brett that's right with him? It is, it's Peter DeBrett right in the middle of that particular squabble. So, again, even though Silver Pyramids has had that big moment, he's still pressing on as best he can.
Yep, trying to make his way through the field. I think something to pick up on is that Atkins has picked up a penalty for that unsafe rejoin that we saw earlier on.
Oh no!
Oh, that's a big collision. Don Brett, oh, very close to collecting other drivers and just manages to avoid that. Gets his way off the track and gets himself going again, but that was very close to causing a big collision.
Yeah, the Silver Pyramids, who he came together with there, as we now look at Samuel Fox up into 4th position in the number 9 car, being hassled by Ben Norton. So a great squabble forming here as Luke Whitehead's maintained about 1.5 seconds over Hamada and Aziki for quite a while now. There is, that's not the lead pair ahead of them. That's a couple of cars being lapped, I think. So we've got some people out of position. There's Chris Gooch coming down the hill towards Akram Minarani, right on the tail of Parna. Oh, that was close. There's Phoenix Chaff right ahead of them. Oh, Pyramids is in trouble again. The 66 car is stationary somewhere. You can see it falling through the field. We're on board with Silver Pyramids. So what happened here? So we did see there was a tap and then a spin. And there it is. So, well, was that Silver making the move on Peter or the other way around? Difficult to tell from the on-board. There's Chris Coote again. And, as mentioned, he's having that great fight with Parna for 18th position. Ashton Cox for the H3 crew up into 10th place now ahead of David Hack and Karen Atkins. The 14 and the 41 Ferraris right behind him into the Tamburelli chicane. 3.2 behind Tom Ottey, but he's got a couple of cars fighting there if he's able to close on. And there they are. So 10 minutes of the race gone. The pit window will be opening very shortly.
Yep, we already saw Atkins get a 10-second penalty, but he's gonna get another 5-second penalty for causing a collision. So Atkins' race is going from bad to worse, and as we see a replay of Pyramids just getting rotated by the other driver, it seems like Pyramids went for the line, but just didn't back out at all. Neither of the drivers wanted to back out off their line, so very close to actually coming across the front of, I think that was Albrecht there. And that is off once again.
It was Legreston he initially caught up with, sadly, in the 129 car. So I would imagine it's Silver has had enough of this track for tonight, but we will see. There we go, pit lane now is open. There is our race leader, Luke Whitehead. Mother Akizi behind him has closed in a little bit from when we last saw. There's Preet Parna. They're still fending off the advances of Chris Gooch coming through. Variante Alta down the hill towards Ravazza once again. Lamborghini things about, well, you can't really make a move there, but you can make yourself very well known. black Lamborghini hassling the white Ferrari. He's got room moving. Ravassa, can he slow that one down? No, he can't. That was a great opportunity. Oh, no, but he's gotten a little bit out of shape. He may well have bounced off the back of the Ferrari. That's a little bit too opportunistic there for Chris Gooch. Good effort, but sadly didn't quite come off for it.
Yeah, Chris Gooch, we saw him go for that overtake, but just didn't manage to get the car stopped at all. As I'm sure we'll see quite a few drivers diving into the pit lane very soon, as we see Elbrecht trying to make some move on Parner ahead of him, as we make our way into the first chicane of the lap, which is the Tamburello chicane, as we make our way out of that turn 3 and 4, as he gets very wide, does Elbrecht, and that just mean that Parner just manages to get away just a little bit. No, as we see Elbrecht just trying to make his way through the field now. He's making his way into the hairpin. That is into the Tosa hairpin. He's got a lot of pressure from Afonseca behind. What is Afonseca going to be able to do on that Lamborghini? They are in the opposite cars, so anything could happen here as they make their way through Piratella now and down the hill into, as you saw, the very big elevation change. But as they make their way back up the hill now, and they're going to make their way down the short straight into the Varianti outer chicane.
5-second penalty for car 19. That's Baija for an unsafe track rejoin. The steward's not happy with how he's conducted that one early when the race didn't quite see it. At the moment, we are currently enjoying Jorge Afonseca, the Portuguese driver, hassling Elbrecht for that 15th position. Quite a few people taking their pit stops very early, but still lots of pit stops to do. There's Ryan Renoir now up into 4th position. He's the lead Lamborghini now, right behind Ben Norton. Well, position-wise behind Ben Norton. He's actually 6.2 seconds behind him on the road. That Ferrari there, I can't quite see who that is. They are getting blue flag, as you can see, and nice move there from Renoir to maintain that 4th position, not lose too much time. I mean, the Ferrari could have backed out of that a little bit earlier, but when you're just surrounded by that many cars, it's difficult to... And there we go, it's Peter Debret in the Treble 8 car. Oh, it was rather unceremonious. Well, I think it was unceremoniously helped off the road there from, I think it was David Hack, that gave him a bit of a shove. I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but that's going to... Peter just had a horrendous race. Oh, no. Having more trouble there at Acquamin Rally. Had a pretty decent run at Monza, but sadly that momentum not being transferred to Imola. The Treble 8 car is really struggling this time around, but still half the race to do, slightly over half the race to do. Anything can still happen.
Yeah, anything can still happen. But what I realised is the lack of drivers that have actually made their pit stops yet. 6 minutes left in the pit window, so still quite a big opportunity for other drivers. But something to take note of is Luke Whitehead, he hasn't came into the pits yet for his mandatory pit stop, but Akisi has, so we'll have to keep an eye on the gap between them, and will Akisi be able to pull off the undercut?
Very good question, and it's certainly worth a try. I mean, he's been maintaining that about 1.5 second gap between himself and Luke Whitehead. There he is in 11th position, right behind. That's not Marma that's ahead of him. Not 100% sure who that is. That's a Ferrari that's very dutifully getting out of the way. That's the number 2 car. Oh, it is Marma, beg your pardon. But I think he realised that he wasn't going to keep Ziki behind him. So he's gotten out of the way and let the Lamborghini through. So the top, most of the top 10 still at the pit. As Norton, Renoir and O'Hack have now come in. There is our race leader. When is he going to pit? Now he's in amongst the traffic. It would really serve him to come in now and get his pit stop done. But he pitted very, very late last time around. There's Samir Foch up into 2nd place now. He was around about 4th before. So again, he's done pretty well to maintain his position. And they've got, so they're halfway through the pit window now. They need to be thinking about coming in. And Luke has come in now. So I think that's actually the best decision. He really was amongst the traffic, and he would have lost out more had he tried to keep going and battle through the traffic. So I think he's made the right call there to try and maintain the lead, but it really depends on how well Ezekiel has done on his outlap. There's David O'Hack. He has pitted. He's in 12th at the moment in a bit of he's in a hell of a scrap with that's Gonzalo ahead of him and Ziga right behind. What a lovely scrap we've got going on here for 11th place. Very, very close between all the cars right around them. I think they're all for position. There's Lucas Ziga in the 199. I would say he's in the back of the train, but Cox is not that far behind them either. So you can very easily get involved in this scrap if they slow each other up, which is, of course, highly likely the more they fight. This is fantastic. We've still got half the race to do. Oh, that was O'Hack getting a little bit deep. He got away with it this time at Acqua Minerale, but we've seen spins down there. It is very easy to do. As I'm also keeping an eye on the top of the... Once again, Phoenix Jeff has chosen to carry on. He's not quite in the lead of the race just yet, but Lucas Ziga, has he got the momentum? And the door gets very slammed in his face by David O'Hack coming out of Variante Alta. Now down to the hill. Is he going to try and make the big move into Ravassa? No, he doesn't go for it. And someone's off. Oh no, who's that that's bouncing? Maybe a back marker that's getting into the dust. By the fact they're staying there, is a back marker. Now is going to be a great opportunity with the main slipstream of opportunity down that start finish straight. Who's going to win out over here? So with the pit stops, they're now battling for 10th place. Gonzalo ahead of O'Hack and ahead of Ziga. Ashley Cox, he's closing in on them. That's very close from O'Hack, but not close enough to make the move just yet.
Yep, getting very close to the back of them is Ziggy, but something to take note of is Luke Whitehead. Yaz came out ahead of Akizi, but he's came out with nearly a 4-second gap. So this strategy from Luke Whitehead has pulled off perfectly in his books. The two Ashtois drivers, they were close, but no longer, as we see the leading two drivers now come into the pits of Rassar and Chef. But Ziggy was very close to the back of the driver ahead, which is Consabo. You can see trying to defend from David O'Hack and Ziggy behind. Consabo feeling a lot of pressure behind him. You can see, is that Ziggy looking for an overtake? O'Hack covers off the line. It looks like David O'Hack knows where to put the car if he wants to cover off a line.
Absolutely, what a great battle we've got. Ashley Cox has caught the back of this pack now, so that is very much a four-way fight. Although Consabo's had a great run down the hill towards Ravassa. Luke Whitehead has indeed retaken the lead of the race with, as you mentioned earlier, Kai, that 3.3 second lead. So he's over doubled the lead he has. So Ezekiel did not have such a good run on his outlap. Erbrich is a further 5 seconds back. But Consabo did everything he needed to do to prevent the counterattack, but he's now going to be under to try and that's actually Tom Ossie that's on the back of this pass. There's now a 5-way conga line for that 9th place.
That's a long line, I guess you could say, especially in racing terms. David O'Hack is the closest out of any of them, though. Is he going to have a little look? He has a look to the inside. Doesn't manage to pull anything off, though. You can see the onboard of David O'Hack right now, so you can really get to feel what this driver is seeing right now. You can see getting very close to the back of the Lamborghini ahead of him. You can see the Ferrari cockpit that he's driving, though, as they make their way over the hill and into their way into Piratella, their way down the hill. You can see O'Hack taking a very different line to Consabo ahead of him, and arguably a slower line as they make their way into Acqua Minerale, as they make their way back up the hill. The dip in the middle is immense for these drivers. Just have to hang on to the car for Variante Alta now, as they use all the curb in the first part. Curb on the second part for O'Hack. Very wide for Consabo, but O'Hack, you can see in his mirrors, Ziggy, he isn't far behind.
That's a lovely insert shot there. You can see all 5 cars involved in this battle as Ziga getting very, very close to the 14 car of David O'Hack. But the number 14A will defend off the 199, but he's having to turn right on the left-hander, but Ziga's gone off. Ziga's overcooked that one. He's going to lose some position, certainly lose some time. There is Lucas Ziga There comes Ashley Cox, who's going to fly past him. Is Tom Otte going to be able to do something as well? He's going to be a little bit too far back, but that's an easy pass for Ashley Cox. But due to all that, that's 1.5 seconds. Oh, wow, as Otte gets all crossed up. I think he wasn't anticipating Lucas Eager to slow down quite where he did. Here we go, as Kunsabo again under pressure from Ohak. It's a big move on the inside in towards Villeneuve. It's not a big breaker zone into there, but he's trying to put Kunsabo off. Oh, outside maneuver coming down towards Tozer. That's not really going to go your way. But again, he's doing everything he can to put Kunsabo out of his rhythm. The problem is, you can see at the top of the shot, there's David Ohak, who has now broken away from what is now Ashley Cox. He's free to chase off after those two as much as he can. Oh, impact between Kunsabo and Ohak. Kunsabo maintains his own position, but here comes Cox. Here's Ashley Cox downhill towards Akram Minarani. What a move from the 158. He has managed to make that work. Oh no, Ziga! Ziga's gone. Where has he disappeared to? He's had a problem heading down there. He's still going. He's just coming through Akram Minarani. He's lost a lot of time. Ashley Cox on the inside of Variante Alta. You don't find many moves down there, but unfortunately he's tangled up with Kunsabo, and that's given the lead of this train now to David Ohak and Tom Otte.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught it up in the background, but there was a big offing in the background. I'm guessing that was the driver that you were just talking about. Kunsabo, though, that was not really the position that he wanted to be in. That does mean that Ohak has got past, and so has Otte. So I'm sure that Ohak is not complaining about that. But as we have a look at Pripana down in P23 right now, chasing down, I'm guessing that's Mama ahead of him in the fluorescent yellow and green Lamborghini, catching and spitting up the dirt in the final corner around the outside. No, sorry, it's Chef. So Chef in P15, he's still battling with Pripana, who's in P23. So Chef is battling with a back marker.
He's struggling a little bit. Now, you are allowed to unlap yourself from someone as long as you do so without impeding the person you're unlapping yourself from. So that wasn't an unreasonable move from Pana, but it just didn't quite come off. There is Christian Beijer in the car 19. Now, he has earned himself some penalties. He's still got a 10-second penalty for causing an avoidable collision with the Treble 8 car earlier on. But Luke Whitehead, there he is now, 4 seconds to the good up front. He's just loving life at the moment. This is the result he wanted from Monza. Of course, it didn't quite go his way. And that guy in the background is not Kesey, I don't think. Oh, beg your pardon. Yes, it is. So that is what 4 seconds looks like on this track. And that gap was just coming down very slightly this time, but it was gaining. But there's only got 6.5 minutes to close down 4 seconds. Luke Whitehead, I think it's fair to say, is not a second and a bit slower than anybody else out there at the moment. There is David Ohak still fending off Tom Otte, now up in his second position with the missed matches going on for Kunsabo. And Ashley Cox has actually fallen behind, so he's in another incident as the 158 Ferrari. He's fallen behind Tom McEwing whilst we've been looking away. So David Ohak now just has Tom Otte to deal with as the 70 Lamborghini. Things are going to move. No, he's not going to go for it this time. On the inside of the Tamburini again, through the left, right, then left-hander again. Down towards Villeneuve. Otte just needs to bide his time. Trying to make a move here is never really going to go your way. And there's such a short run from here to Tozer that you need to be kind of making the move almost by the time you exit the chicane, which is very, very difficult to do. There is also Kunsabo, who's stayed with these two. It's a shame that Ashley Cox has fallen victim to a mistake somewhere. He's now some 8 seconds behind this trio. So what was a five-way battle for that spot is now very much a three-way fight. There is Luke Whitehead. He's extended the lead in the lap, now 4.4 seconds by the end of Sector 3. And there is Kesey. I wonder if Hamada has decided to settle for that particular position. He's 5 seconds ahead of race one winner Erbrick. But he is 4.4 seconds behind Luke Whitehead, who has absolutely stormed this race. There is Ashley Cox under pressure from Graham Atkins. In the 41 car, that's very, very wide at Variante Alta for Ashley Cox. just about managed to maintain his spot ahead of the 41 car, but you can't be doing that too many times.
Something to take note of now is that Consabo's picked up a 5-second penalty for an avoidable contact between him and car 158. The penalty is handed out there. Yep, Ashton Cox, he has been deemed as the victim of that collision. But talking about Ashton Cox, he's got a lot of pressure from Atkins behind. Is Atkins going to look up the inside into the chicane? Yes, he will. He's going to make the move stick for now, and there's contact between the two of them. Not too big contact, though. You do say rubbing is racing, and I guess you could say it in that term as well.
Nicely done there by Atkins. It was a little risky, but he made it work. And again, Ashton gave the necessary racing room to make sure that move completed successfully. There's Chris Gooch. Oh, slamming the door shut on Afonseca right behind him. And then there's Elbrecht not far behind them. Oh, no, he's got it wrong, though. Oh, no, that was a bit bizarre because Gooch got that wrong going into the Tamburello chicane. Then Afonseca got it wrong in the middle, and then Afonseca bounced off of Gooch, unfortunately. So, Portuguese driver is then stranded in the dust. There he is. He's going to lose another one to Massey, the 215 Lamborghini. Oh, no, that's not how Jorge Afonseca wanted that one to go. There is the 202 once again, just leading the way. Absolutely no answer from Ezeki this time around. There he is at the top of the shot in the 13 car. Luke has just had this in control. I'm sure is what he wanted in the first race. Here's the replay of the Afonseca incident. So that's where it went wrong initially for Gooch, and then Afonseca went too wide and then bounced off of Gooch. So it's an unfortunate mistake there from Jorge Afonseca, but yeah, that's even the greats make mistakes.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier that you don't think that Luke Whitehead is a second and a bit slower each lap than anyone else, and you were 100% right. He is actually faster than anyone else in the field, as you can see, just extending his gap out in the lead. But as we have a look on board with Medvedes, as he makes his way down into the first chicane of the Tamburello chicane, we saw a big incident earlier, but it looks like Medvedes, as he makes his way through the second part, very close to the gravel trap there as he makes his way through the Tosa hairpin. Now he's getting very close to the back of Chef up ahead, and I'm sure there is a good battle to go on very soon.
Yeah, it doesn't have long to run, unfortunately, with just over a minute and a half before the checkered flag falls. Arturas Medvedes on the tail of Felix Chef for 14th place. Oh, the Lamborghini went a little bit deep there in the middle of Aqua Minerale. There is Jan-Niklas Elbrecht, the German who won at Monza. He's very much settled into his rhythm. He just hasn't quite had the pace here at Imola, but still going to score some very impressive points and still in contention for that top spot when all is said and done. We'll get an update on the points once they've all been dealt with. There is Luke working his way through the back markers and just continuing now over 5 seconds between himself and Hamada Ezeki. You can pretty much ignore top gear at this point, and there's not many occasions they use the top gear in this track, in fairness, but he does not need to push. He can just stay where the back markers are. It's unlikely he's going to lose too much time. 40 seconds before the checkered flag falls. As mentioned, there's Chris Gooch still having an argument with Elbrecht for 18th place. Oh no, the Lamborghini's gone off. That's given that position to the 86 car, and that'll be very frustrating, especially in the closing stages of the race. You've got no time to recover from that kind of mistake.
Yeah, Elbrecht will say thank you very much on his way past and take that position very kindly off his hands. But McEwen, we have a look, he's very close to the back of Consabo going into the Piratella downhill section now into Aqua Minerale as he makes his way through the uphill section. That will be the checkered flag flying for anyone who crosses the line now. As we see McEwen still, he's dropped a little bit back from the drive behind, But Forge, as he makes his way onto his final lap of the race, Luke Whitehead still leading by around 5 seconds now.
Indeed, and he continues to chew up the back markers and destroy the miles. He's just absolutely unstoppable, as the Lamborghini there just pulling aside, not interfering with the leader quite rightly. So, well, like that, I thought he was actually going to let off a bit more than that. That's a little bit uncomfortable up there at Piratella, but Luke Whitehead continuing to make his way towards the checkered flag. You could argue that he should have been the one that saw it first in Monza, but sadly the fall of the dice didn't go his way, but he's looking very good to claim the win for Imola. Very nicely done indeed. Amada Ezeki is pretty set there in second position, 6.3 seconds ahead of Monza winner Jan Urbrecht. But, I mean, what can you say? As we said, for really Urbrecht, he controlled the race for Monza. Luke Whitehead has been absolutely flawless. We haven't seen any mistakes. He played the strategy brilliantly well, doubled his lead, and has pretty much doubled it again since. So, to finish off the night, your winner here in Imola is the number 202 for H3 Racing. He looked pretty happy about it, and rightly so. It is Luke Whitehead. Very nice. Just second. It's going to be Hamada Ezeki. There he is in the 13 car for the lead Lamborghini. And then it is a Jan-Niklas Urbrecht in the 299. Comes home in third. Samir Farta said, keep an eye on him, and he's come home in fourth. Still a great fight going on. There's Tom McEwing fending off the advances of Ashley Cobb. It's gone really downhill for him this race, in the second half of it at least, for the 158 Ferrari. There is René Restart right behind Ashley now. But Tom McEwing, a solid result nonetheless, as Ben Norton has taken fourth, Brendan Renoir fifth, David Hacksmith, Tom Otte 7th, Canzabo in 8th, I beg your pardon, Canzabo 9th, and Atkins 10. Tom McEwing will take that 11th spot, with Tom McEwing and Ashley Cox very, very close together, 11 and 12. But wow, again, our drivers gone on a great show. Bit of a different race than what we saw from Imola, but there's still some incredible moves. And a track that is difficult to overtake out. We saw some people putting some amazing overtakes on.
Yeah, there were some amazing overtakes during that event. We saw Luke Whitehead absolutely dominate. We saw a 5-second lead for, well, nearly 6-second lead for Luke Whitehead at the... Saw him second in Imola, and we saw him second in Monza as well. So solid results on the board for Akizi, and I think he might actually be in the running for the championship lead at the end of this event.
Could well be. We will wait for the points update when they are calculated. All things being said and done, but what an incredible race. We hope you, lovely people spectating with us, have enjoyed it, either watching live or watching post-event. Well, again, great effort from our drivers to put on a great show. We hoped been calculated. We'll hopefully have a chat with them. But yeah, we think we know who they're going to be, what order they're in. Bit of a mystery at the moment. We will wait for the adjudicators to give us the final update. But yeah, great evening there, Kai.
Yeah, it's been an amazing race and an amazing event. Luke Whitehead, he had an unfortunate first round. We had contact between Akizi and Luke Whitehead on the first lap, but it didn't happen this time, and it just shows the pace that Luke Whitehead had and what he would be able to do in Monza if he didn't have that unfortunate incident. But 6-second win from Luke Whitehead. Can it get much more dominant than that?
You'd be pretty hard pressed, but it was also interesting to see that we had the Lambos and the Ferraris right at the top. It wasn't just all of one mark, although it was a bit dominant. You know, it was a lot of Lamborghinis towards the front in Monza and a lot of Ferraris towards the front in Imola, and it wasn't necessarily the same drivers in the same order. The top few were broadly the same, but throughout the field, the positions were very, very different. So it was great to see how the drivers adapted to the different cars and different track surfaces. Of course, we did see a few incidents happen, which is all part of racing, but it's been a great night of racing.
Yeah, it's been a great night of racing. We've seen a lot of battles, a lot of incidents, a lot of drama on track. What more could you ask from an event like this?
Absolutely true. Right, just waiting for the last few points to be calculated, and then we'll try and get a hold of our top 3. As I would imagine, Luke Whitehead's certainly going to be there. Where he's going to be there, because of course he was 5th in the first round. He won that last round quite consecutively. I think Erbrick is going to be there with the 1st and 3rd, and then 2 seconds as well. I don't know. I genuinely don't know where the people are going to be, but it'd be fun to listen to listen to what they have to say, especially sort of how well they've adapted. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the results on the tables. I think there was quite a few drivers mixing up the tables, adapting to the different cars. I think we saw that, especially in the second race, taking a toll on a few of the drivers. But you could see with quite a few drivers, there was one stronger track and then there was one less strong track. But with those mixed results, I think the championship orders will be quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite an interesting format as well. What we've just seen, 2 different tracks with 2 different cars, although broadly similarly balanced. Of course, both being in the GT3 category. Those subtle differences were really accentuated. So you're looking at the performance difference from the same driver in two different arenas, 2 different cars was fascinating to see, and I very much hope that World Pro Racing do it again, because that was a fantastic format that we've been able to enjoy.
Yeah, it was great fun to commentate on. There was a lot going on, so there was never a dull moment in any of those races. Also in qualifying, you expect there to be some moments where nothing's going on, but especially with these events, it's always action-packed. There's always drivers improving on their lap times, and there's always stuff to keep on top of.
Indeed. We saw the qualifying results broadly translate into race result for Imola, but it really wasn't the case in Monza, and that was also fascinating to see just who was going to be battling who. Of course, Whitehead and Enriquez were the top 2 broadly speaking, but there was some great battlers. I mentioned Samir Farch as well, who did not have a particularly strong Monza, but had an absolutely storming run in Imola. And then conversely, Ashley Cox, who was looking very good for a very solid top 10 finish, but sadly had that incident that then just kind of started a downward spiral for him. But that's all the mind game as well. It's very easy to, because give up is a little bit strong, but kind of think, oh well, I'm not going to be able to recover that, and just kind of go into the I'll settle for this, and then you make a mistake, and then the downward spiral continues. But because you've got a fair amount of racing experience under your belt, Kai. When you're in a position where something's gone wrong, and you haven't necessarily got a lot of time to recover that in the race, do you kind of just sort of shake it off and get back into the groove? Do you kind of mentally sit yourself down and say, right, come on, I'm not giving up on this? What goes through your mind?
Well, I think determination is really important in these sorts of circumstances, especially if it's just some tiny incident that happened that you can recover from. I think it's very important to keep that positive attitude towards the race and try and drive it to... I always say the race isn't over until it's actually over.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's easy to say that without the pressure on, though. Yeah, I think we've all had it. I think you can be as determined and as skilled as you like, but there are still times when you just think, I can't recover that. It's probably the lesser mentally disciplined among us. I'm holding my hand up very much to that. It's easy to kind of give up on and settle for where you are, but I guess when in your position where you've been in that competitive environment, time and again, where the top prizes are just kind of just there ready for the taking. Because the prize is there, the carrot's right in front of your face. It's got to keep pushing you on. But I would imagine that still takes a fair amount of mental discipline to achieve. Yeah,
well, you were talking about the recovering drives, and I think Urquizy really shown that in the first race. He had that contact with Whitehead, as we've mentioned many times, but he waited for Whitehead, which I think shown a lot of sportsmanship within his attitude, and then he managed to pull it back to P2, so an amazing drive from him. And talking about determination, Whitehead, a terrible Monza, but an absolute storming Imola. So it just shows if you keep pushing, you can really achieve something great.
Yeah, absolutely. But even so, you still need luck on your side. And again, look at that. Look at coming yet again to that impact between Enriquez and Whitehead in Monza. Whitehead, started from pole. He was under a lot of pressure, but it wasn't his mistake that caused that incident. So sometimes luck just really does act against you. I think everybody has been there before, whether on the track or in sim racing, where just nothing you do goes your way. You're trying your hardest, and you just think, what more can I do?
I think a lot of drivers a lot of the time get very unlucky, but quite a few people say that you need to make your own luck. So I guess that kind of factors into it, but there's always some races on some days that it just isn't going your way.
Indeed, even the greats have to suffer that. So whilst we're waiting for the points to be finalised and all the necessary inquiries to be completed, let's talk about your racing a little bit, Kai. So where are you currently racing, and where will you next be?
So I'm doing quite a bit of online racing right now. So I'm doing a bit of mix. I've done some F1 2020, which I do a championship on there on every Wednesday, and also I've also got into iRacing quite recently. So I'm really enjoying iRacing. It's a great simulator, and I've done 2 endurance races on there. I've done the Bathurst 12 hours, the Sebring 12 hours, which I've really enjoyed. It's great fun with a couple of my mates. And also, I've done a few Assetto Corsa races. I've done a couple of endurance races on there. So I kind of try to do a bit of all of it. I mean, I think that's always the best, to have a selection of what you can have.
Diversity, yeah, absolutely. And that tonight's been a very good showcase of that between the 2 cars and 2 tracks. Was it this past Sunday you did Bathurst, perchance?
Yes, it was. It was actually on Saturday that we did Bathurst. We went 12 midday until 12 at night. So it was very tiring, me doing the last stint. So 10 until 12. I took a little nap in between, but I had to finish off the race for the team. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I think my next goal is to do a 24-hour race. I would love to do that.
You brave boy. I've commentated stints of a 24-hour race. I've never compared. I could never manage it. I know my own limitations too much that I just wouldn't manage. I'd be hopeless. After about 45 minutes, I'm spent. So sprint race is fine, but endurance races, no, I'll leave that to those that really know what they're doing and have the physical and mental fitness to actually carry that through. And that actually leads me to my next point. Fitness is something that is actually just as important in the sim racing world as it is in the physical world. And again, you've bridged the gap between the two. You would agree with that statement or disagree?
Yeah, I would agree. I think you have to keep on top of your fitness to actually drive the simulator. It can actually take a toll on your endurance, your stamina. And also, I think mental fitness is very important in sim racing, especially in endurance races, as you were talking about.
The points are in, and we're starting to get some drivers come and have a chat with us. So then, in third position, now bearing in mind, first, second, and third are separated by just 2 points. That's how close it was in the end. Third place with 29 is Luke Whitehead. Well done, Luke. Would it be fair to say that it rather was... I say summed up is a little bit strong, but it was rather dictated by your misadventures in Monza, would you say?
Oh, 100%. It was very bittersweet, that win at Imola. I knew coming into it that I'd be strong at Imola in the Ferrari. It's always been a car that I've been quick in. In the sim grid, I think I'm leading the championship with Hamada. Funny enough, rather ironically, given race 1, which is quite funny. But yeah, I drove really well in race 2. I didn't really put a foot wrong, at least from where I was sitting. But Yeah, the pace really good. But my curse at Monza just struck again. I don't think I've had a single good race at Monza ever. I've had pole every time I've raced there, and then had either a hardware failure or been smashed off. And obviously in the first race, there was a bit of lag involved with Hamada. Obviously, it wasn't really his fault. He couldn't have done anything about it. There was a bit of lag, and I watched on the replay. He didn't actually hit me, so quite frustrating that happened. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm just glad to have fought back and got a podium in the end. But a bit more frustrated though to only have missed out on the win by 2 points. But yeah, good momentum as the next round at SimGrid is actually at Imola, so it's some very, very good prep for that. But yeah, can't really complain too much.
Very, very gracious of you there, Luke. I mean, from what we saw, we didn't see an awful lot of you in Imola. You just kind of got into the lead and ran off. Was that what you were always confident you'd be able to do? So you did say you were looking forward to Imola in the Ferrari. Would it have been the case if you'd gone with a Lambo, or was the Ferrari always the clear choice for Imola?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Ferrari, as I mentioned. So I always knew that I'd be very strong there, but I also knew that the Lambo, I've done some testing with the Lambo and the Ferrari there, obviously in prep for this, and the Lambo was actually quicker, but the delta between the Lambo and the Ferrari at Monza was larger, so the Lambo was actually quicker at Monza as well for me. So I was kind of in two minds, but I felt like, with regards to what I've been doing recently and how much I enjoy the Ferrari round there, I just thought it was a slam dunk decision for me. And obviously, yeah, as you say, the pace was really good. We just disappeared, which is always what you like to do in a race. It's always the perfect outcome. So, yeah, brilliant. I'm really happy to have done that in race 2. But obviously, race 1, I think we would have had at least a podium, even though I changed the setup slightly to suit the race, and it wasn't quite as good. And obviously as well, I had a little bit of rear end damage, but yeah, it happens. I'll learn on to the next one.
Brilliant stuff. We look forward to seeing your progress in future races. Congratulations on 3rd place and well done, Luke Whitehead.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In 2nd place with 30 points is Hamada Akizi. Are you with us, Hamada?
Yes, thank you very much.
Kai, all yours.
Oh, awesome. So, Hamada, you had 2 amazing, consistent results. Tell us what your mindset was going into Imola after having that great recovery drive after the unfortunate contact with Luke.
My whole mindset for today was having fun with my teammate. But that actually was not the case in race 1. That was totally my fault. Even if there was lag, I should have been more careful. It's lap 1. So that was unfortunate for Whitehead, but we fought back, and I got a good result, and he got some points as well, which actually helped him to get in P3 today.
Yeah, you're only 1 point off the driver that got P1 here today. Is there anything else you think you could have done to try and get that extra point to maybe even try to get P1 in the championship?
Yeah, if there was 5 more minutes in the race, I think I could have pulled that.
Yeah, well, as we saw to Luke, you had the opposite car choice, so tell me what your thoughts were on your choice of car going into these 2 tracks.
Well, the main reason I chose the Lambo for Imola, it's because the Lamborghini is much more smoother and much more confident on the curbs. So I always have a hard time passing the famous chicane of Imola. With the Ferrari, I always lose the rear at the exit. And with the Lambo, I don't. So that was the main reason why I chose the Lambo.
Well, Hamada, congratulations on P2 today. And hopefully next time you will be on the top spot. But Chris, back over to you for our P1 driver.
Thank you very much, Hamada Akizi. Great effort there. And topping the tables, 31 points, it is Jan Niklas Erbrecht. Guten Abend, Herr Erbrecht.
Guten Abend.
Thomas Rennen. For those that don't know what I'm saying, I said good race. Again, in Monza, it sort of very much looked like you were right there and capitalized on other people's mistakes, and then just everything just fell your way. And again, another strong result in Imola. Just gave you enough to take the top spot. You must be quite pleased with that.
Yeah, the miracle happened. I won a race finally after I think almost 3 months. Yeah, and that race win was also at Monza. I thought in the first race at Monza it would be hard to beat those two guys, but yeah, after Equisi kissed Luke Whitehead in the back, I was just waving and saying goodbye, guys. And yeah, from there on, I had a really good pace. I think in the pit stop, I drove a bit too far away from the pit box. That cost me around 2 to 3 seconds. But from there on, yeah, I just drove everything I could because Equisi was just doing pole position laps every lap. Yeah, was quite some fun. The Imola race was not so nice. My pace was not really good. I did some mistakes, which led to almost Atkins passing me, but then we touched and I think he spun. I think I gave him enough room. Yeah, the room you can give in that chicane. But I was surprised by my qualifying pace. I think that was the first time I was really fast in the qualifying. And I really capitalized from that.
So were you conscious of the points position, or were you just purely concentrating on getting the most out of you could, as much as you could out of your Imola race?
No, I was fully aware of the points. Honestly, I was expecting Equisi to pass Luke Whitehead at the pit stop, but that didn't happen. So, yeah, well, was really nice.
Excellent stuff. Well done on the race. Well done on taking the championship. Tolles Rennen, Herr Elbricht, auf Wiedersehen.
Danke sehr. Tschüss.
And that is going to bring an end to tonight's festivities. Thank you very much to all of our drivers for putting on a fantastic show. I think it's fair to say that it has been a very pleasant experience. Thank you very much to all the sponsors for everybody here at World Pro Racing. We genuinely couldn't do this without you. That's Gaming Malta, AMD, HyperX, GT Omega, Thrustmaster, and of course our broadcasting partners, ESTV, Motorsport TV, and TVN Sport. Thank you very much to those in the background that control the cameras and keep us on the straight and narrow. Again, we couldn't do it without you. And of course, thank you very much to my co-commentator, Kai Bacini, for tonight. It's been a great pleasure to have you in the box, good sir.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating alongside you here today, Chris, and thank you so much for having me alongside you in the box.
Pleasure's all mine. Do come back to us. We'll be back here tomorrow for the USF 2000 race, which will be myself and Alex Goldschmidt in the commentary box for that. But there's plenty of other races going on, so keep an eye on the relative channels on the social medias. Like, share, subscribe, and all the rest of it. We hope to see you back here for next round. Thank you very much, and good night.
Bye.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.